started Dirty and Boaz. I mean, I love day one storylines that fizzle out and we never see them again day two. But this might be one that has a chance to stick. A lot of the times, teams that don't have an entire community behind them riding and wanting them to win, that pressure not there, they just get to play their game. Huge for them. Jerky, for Doxy are looking for their chance in this game. This man below and okay. Fast Roki down.
Now Cherokee down.
Oh, chance off the Doxy. Up top, 101 below. It's just what can you find before you go down in the situation? Any more points on any other teams? Can you make it difficult for your opponents to keep rotating? Answer is no. Hellfire Refsguard look to be determined today. Everything I see this duo doing, absolute purpose. They're not wasting any time at all. Point A to point B, they're gone.
Yeah, and I think one of the key things about this duo, and I say this in the nicest way, right, is that sometimes, right, there's a right decision, there's a wrong decision. And I think you look at teams and you think when they make the wrong decision, oh no, everything's gone bad. But sometimes it's better to make the wrong decision confidently with conviction than it is to make the right decision and you're not too sure about it and you're having second thoughts, right? These guys, like you said, when they do something, they just commit to it. They do it, no doubts, no questioning it. And sometimes that just works out better.
Absolutely. It's always good to be on the same page. The worst thing is when your IGL makes a call, you're hesitant about it, but this duo, you're describing it, has trust.
Yeah, Refsguard leads, Hellfire follows, and Refsguard himself has commented on how he's not the most confident IGL, right? He's still trying to develop that area of his game. He wants to improve in that regard. And we'll see whether or not, the hard work will pay off at the end of these 12 games, right? This is the best place to see it.
Well, that first game was looking so well. They were doing needle-threaded kinetic blade rotations on low ground in the 10th zone. Right beside Seno and Musho, I believe, were the ones who just took them out towards the end. They keep moving. Kinetic blading all the way in. Dash is looking good. Mats, not so much.
Yeah, this is, again, going to be a game where we're probably going to have to see them fight for low ground if they can even make it to the moving zones, right? We'll see them on low ground again with the materials they're working with.
It's going to be tough. I feel like Seno and Lucia are a duo that really revolves around having structure, having resources. Not ones that can really make that game pop out of thin air. Especially at this point, Queasy Vino, they pulled, I think, one of the best zones they could have.
This is such a nice spot, right? They just have a brilliant choke point. Anybody that wants to get to that side of the zone that they're on is going to have to walk through them. They can take shots at every single player. And it will mean that their next rotation is easy peasy. Easy as you like, as easy as it possibly really gets.
What was Kyrie hunting for? What was he seeing? All right, Perchawa again. I feel like I see Perchawa get the most unfortunate eliminated type eliminations. It's so tough.
Yeah, game one, they went down to Jalen and Twyde. This time around, they survived, but unfortunately for them, it's not going to be a game worth counting for. Andalex and Diox actually make it to zone, and to be fair, this is a home zone for them, right? You'd expect them to do well in this kind of a game. But down on Surge is going to mean that they have to start making things turn around for them quickly. They need to find weak players around them.
I'm wondering exactly what they were doing, because not only are they down on Surge, but in a home zone, they're down on mats, which is something that you shouldn't have to worry about if the zone's pulling next to you. So this is dire straits for Andalex and Diox. They have to find something, and already 4 teams flying, not a single shot landed.
The problem is you're not really ever going to find these kind of shots, right? You have to oftentimes look for box fight opportunities on players, and you see Diox looking down below. He's spotting an opportunity. It's just about whether or not they commit to it.
Oh, and not found once again. The bittersweet part of this type of land, the fields, is that they're barren flat to actually go all in here, and this is exactly what they need to do. Find the knock, get the full elim, and another player on the right side might be his dual partner. That's Howley going down. Andalex trying to find him, but through the chaos, can't really see much.
Yeah, L10Z gets taken out as well. That's the duo down. I don't think they actually picked that one up, though. It seemed like it was someone from a distance. Shield bubble will mean they can get the loot safely, which is an added bonus. So maybe the materials will be looking stronger now.
Oh, this is huge for Queasy and Vino specifically. I'm just tracking where the zone is pulling. Right towards the side of their box. Zumi and Sinet in a very similar type position. Hellfire refs guards. Hellfire will go down once again in a spot that's tough when the entire zone just bounces back towards where you are. And to the first duel there inside a wooden box, I mean, That's just leftover food in the microwave. You're gonna get heated up. You're gonna get fried down.
Mais j'ai pas joué.
Yeah,
J'ai lancé le jeu.
really.
Pas joué à la play.
Right, you don't want to be doing that.
Pas joué de la
City
soirée.
and Cammy might find themselves on the receiving end of Arizumi and Sinhead's pulse rifles. The question is, what can they do with them, right?
Mais j'ai pas joué là, il est là.
The pulse rifles didn't have the biggest impact on how the rest of the game played out. This time around, they're trying to make something happen. Arizumi doesn't find that shot to play leaving the box.
He's looking slightly confused in this one too. I mean, Sinhead's alive. You guys can definitely just get
Et
the
alors?
zone and
Moi
look for
aussi,
being
je
somewhere.
travaille.
They seem frazzled inside these boxes, maybe just looking for a few more items. The best thing to do with these pulse rifles, have a high point, a high bench, as many people as possible. Though, based on right beside Future, so they're looking to box fight with these weapons instead. And Arizumi goes right in. The trigger, and that's all she wrote. It's done.
And that's what the pulse rifles get you.
I'm talking about stay up high.
Ah mais non, ça m'a pas dit.
Or you can just get in a box. You can just get in a box.
Pick up pulse rifles, get in box. It doesn't get much more complicated than that. And from there, these guys can again look to start topping out, right? Ninth zone is here, so it's the fast moving zone. And these guys have the kinetic blades to be able to save some materials and do this, exactly this.
Oh my god!
To pick up players, right? Hold on, stagger your rotation, and find those players who are looking to rotate in, get even more mats before they move in themselves, back up onto the higher layers, and they'll look to repeat the process again.
Oh, there's the move with the catch all the way up top too. He's looking like he has a pep in his step now. Knows exactly where to go. Queasy Vino though, they've been hoarding so many maps. They've had to move about 2 boxes in 3 zones. Now they have so much to work with. Their potential can be so sky high. Della and Pixie though, top 5 in 1 major is not enough. They want to win a game in the second.
Yeah, but this next zone pool will be critical, right? Because we saw Queasy and Vino down beneath them.
Go là, d'abord.
Teams who might look to try to
Hello?
take height, but these
Пойдем
guys
в другой.
really like to fight. Cammy and City, they're not looking up at height right now. No. They're
Hello?
focused on claiming space down low, and there are players on this layer, but they're the ones ahead right now.
They're trying to get swampy with it, mixing and blocks up interruptions from box to box, but now they have to go. They found the refresh in the match that they need. Are they still on par to stay all the way up front and on zone? Cammy Seti starting to clear out boxes down below. They have to kind of work overtime though. 150 below, still getting struck by lightning from the sky. They can hide down here, but the damage will find them. Surge stop for now. They'll go all the way towards the backside and blade up top.
And right now going up and over the rest of the lobby into that zone. Trulet and Cheat Show. Just trying to stay alive in this game. But you see, Benno, I knew it would happen. I saw them on second height. That zone call was so critical. They had to chop tight and took it. I didn't even have to see it, and I know that. And now they sit above the rest of the lobby.
It's going to be scary. They have so many mats to work with. Cammy lost Seti. Can only trust himself to do the damage now and stay in the game, but he gets shot down. His journey from game 1 having an effect on the second. Then Reason and Janice were looking to be a passive voice in that first game. This time want to scream out loud that we're here to stay. Is their boss strong enough as we watch Dirty in this clutch? Looking on all sides, he has no more floors to step on. Let it on down, and all of the shots hitting so hard. Somehow he's found a way to be invisible inside this zone. What a big absolute alley-oop to the backside, and then he drops down again from where he just came from. Another shot on a scene that no one can see him.
I don't know how he's still alive. Can he get that loot? I don't really think so. He's searching for it in the back of the zone now. It's going to be really tough. You've got to think somebody's going to stop him soon. There's players right there looking at him, but he plays up right at the perfect time.
Right underneath Vino, so he can't actually get struck down. He's still allowed to be alive. Finally finds a few mats, but Zangi stops him. A bounce back for Vino and Queasy is huge. They have metal that's already locked down, and they're looking to shoot even more.
And this is the time, and Vino's going to have to start dropping low, trying to take fights with all these players, right? You see him hunting with that shotgun in hand.
First target might be Reason. Looking from box to box. No one on this layer just yet. Vino, the hunter. What can he find? Vixen and Blotch up prey. Weak all the way down below. And many teams will start to fall to this layer, so they have to bolster up fast. This is the last time you can actually just even look for loot. Janice and Reason start to go to ultimate low. Mixon on the backside of the wall, but so many edits, so much chaos, and in a blink of an eye, he's down. Somehow Reason has sunglasses on. It doesn't flash him at all. He actually falls too. Vino now is finding and putting down pressure on every single duo and just studying the needle so well from build to build, working in and out of the zone. Every angle just adds the game. Queasy Vino here to play.
It's grand finals, but right now they are making it look so easy. I don't think Vino will have an easier game than that, right? Asked to drop down and cause havoc wins the game. Didn't even have to do much. Everybody was doing the dirty work for him. Nobody had mats towards the end there on low ground. And so everybody just taking each other out. Vino can soup in, squeeze it up above, laughing. An easy game for the boys.
That game was a guaranteed stress-free. If I could put a sticker on them as a product, 0-0 worry in that one. Mid-game zone's perfect. The way to play the end game perfect. If we had to make a package and stage a game, it'd be this one with Queasy and Vino because they did everything right.
Textbook of what they've been doing all season long, right? We know these guys will play for hype when given the opportunity, and they timed it perfectly. Pixie and Della, we know these guys are a top hype team, but they were no match. They weren't ready. Queasy and Vino strolled through, and they made it happen.
The scariest thing, a good game for them is a win, a bad one, a top 4. Who can contest them? I mean, only the guys out of, they'll know what to do.
They always know what to do, and I think we can all just stand here in awe. Vino with 3 eliminations, victory royale. I mean, he was on the prowl, as Shio said. You know, he was hunting and he got the job done. Takata, a great game too from these two. We expected big things, they delivered.
It's what you love to see, right? Queasy was up in the clouds, just taking a nap, you know. Vino went down, bang, took out almost everybody below, and really just enjoyed the VR.
What I love about that as well is that Queasy was definitely set up for a heal-off. He had all the whites, all the heals in the world, I'm sure. Didn't even need him. Didn't need him. When you have Venom on your team, just send him off and he'll do all the work.
Well, this is exactly it here. I mean, they have done, the high ground as well plays such an important part so much of the time to Carter.
Kannst du Deutsch? Wenn ja, spring hoch.
It seemed like very straightforward from them. They knew exactly how to manage it, and they did exactly that.
Look, they played it perfectly, right? Queasy was ready to heal up if he needed to, and Vino was ready to take action and get those eliminations to hunt, like Shio was saying. But he hunted so well that they didn't even have to play the heal off.
Yeah, the high ground take was absolutely perfect from this duo. As Levin mentioned, they managed to shop out high ground, then crank up, because of course they had those materials that they saved. Another favorable zone for them, and they make it count yet again. As you mentioned, Veno doing such a great job, taking out all the rest of the lobby, thinning it out, so Queasy didn't even have to worry.
Yeah, we can see as well, your average placement after 2 games, I think 2.5 minutes. Look, we've said this, it's looking good, and I think moving into the next kind of phase of the competition here now, we're going to have to see if they can be consistent. I think they can be. I think it's very likely it's Queasy and Vino. But let's take a look at the rest of the leaderboard as well and see exactly how the land lies, I guess, after 2 games, and see kind of who's on top right now, because there's lots of big duos to get excited about here. I know Cami and Seti as well, we must talk about in a second, but here's the standings for you guys. You can see here on the screen, 146 points to 145 in second place, so Queasy and Vino really shooting up their mini and putting themselves in contention, but that top team, 16 eliminations! What am I seeing here?
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, Queasy and Veno, we can't talk about them enough. Even throughout the qualifiers, they were doing such a great job. They only had 1 game without that, without a point. They only had 1 game out of 18 games of finals that they didn't get a point. So you talk about consistency. Let's see if they can continue that. Another team, of course, Janice doing such a great job in that end.
Oh, yeah. Janice and Reason up to 5th place spot, jumping up 4 placements on the leaderboard, 126 points. I mean, we saw them in the late game there. They were doing it very well.
Yeah, 12 eliminations as well. I mean, 16, fantastic, but 12 still equally as amazing, Mini.
Yeah, solid, and they're contested off spawn, or at least a lot of people would have thought so. So they've managed that off spawn situation very well. A lot of people would have thought maybe this would hinder them going into these games, but it's almost given them a little bit of a buff. They've got their storm surge done early. They're able to frag out in the mid game, and again, that was another perfect zone for them. I think they land just to the northeast of this area, so they're basically playing in their back garden.
Right, I mean, it might hinder them in the long run, right? There's 12 matches to be played out, so as of now, they've gotten a good early game, a good mid game, and it's set them up for the late game, but hopefully they can maintain that going forward.
Remember what happened last season, though? Janice and Reason, 1st place after day 1. So if they can continue that, could it happen? Queasy and Veno, no, I think not. They were 1st place. They were doing great. Couldn't quite hold on to it, but we'll see if Queasy and Veno can qualify.
Things do have a tendency to change here all the time. We see 12 games, very different to 6 games traditionally, but, you know, I guess already teams needing, we saw it in the first game there as well, like Veno and Queasy, kind of, rather than engaging early on, I think it was Deal versus Veno, they were taking a step back, they took a step back, and more passive perhaps, knowing that it's all about the long game here. You need to get into contention in that end game to get those placement points, because they are so, we talked about eliminations, but they're so pivotal as well to Carter.
Yeah, I mean, also the difference, I mean, it's neck to neck right now. The difference between 3rd and 1st place, they all separate 1 point. 144 for 3rd place, 145 for 2nd place, 146 for 1st place. I mean, right now, it is very close.
It's the eliminations that are already setting them apart, especially with Blackstone. Mixon, of course, up on the top with 16 eliminations, doing a great job there. Queasy Venom, only 8 eliminations. You look at the leaderboard, you think, actually, that's a bit lower than the people that are surrounding them. But we know how good this duo can be when they get on that high ground. One thing getting it, but another thing closing out and doing such a great job of it.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that Cami and Seti as well there. I mean, again, managing to give us something to get excited about because they're still managing to hold in there, despite not working out in the first couple of games, getting to the last 2 or 3. They still have every opportunity. They've done it on a big stage many times before. It's definitely doable again, surely.
Hopefully, but again, they had the same problem. They made it to endgame, didn't quite have the materials to see it out there.
Yeah, but if we talk about another duo, Jordy and Boaz, I mean, they did a pretty good job there, but it's all about keeping it up, right? It's still the start of day 1. The players are getting kind of warmed up, getting ready, but it is grand finals, so you'd hope that they've been ready from the start.
Solid game number 1, of course, from Jordy and company. And, of course, another game to match yet again. Getting some eliminations in that mid-game. We talked about their fragging potential in the late game. And again, we're seeing it yet again, getting refreshes, getting eliminations. We see it backside his own. Jordy just staying back. He didn't have the materials to go to that front side. We even saw it going all the way up because he had no other options, no materials, no plan B. It was just try and go far.
But he clutched it out, though. He stayed up as long as he possibly could, but just when he gets a little surprise, a little present of loot, he gets taken out. But, I mean, the placements he acquired alongside those elims, it's more than enough to keep them in the game.
Yeah, the traversal is such an important part of this as well. I mean, you can see, you hear like it's a katana frenzy towards the end there as well. You can hear those sound effects going wild. I mean, it's so important to know how to rotate well together as a team as well, not just you, but individually, but together and having that kind of synergy. We saw a taste of Mustache. It seems like it's a real big trait that all big teams have to have as well here. Talking of traits, let's look at some of the stats as well from some of our teams you can see on screen here. And we can already see some players start to separate themselves from the rest of the pack and starting to highlight themselves here in contention for big accolades in this competition.
Damage ratio. The amount he's dealt versus the amount he's taken. If he doesn't take damage, yet he deals at a ratio of 3.17. That is unbelievable. He seems to do it every single event, every single grand final. This guy is dealing the damage, but he's not even better at not taking some as well.
The hunter that doesn't get hunted, it seems. I mean, he gets the eliminations, but he's not losing a lot of the HP. Also, Irazumi, distance traveled over 10K. I mean, it shows that also these zones impact a lot on what your rotations are going into the late game and how much distance you have to travel just to make it to those last zones. So depending on your drop spot, it could be a bit more difficult. But Irazumi, I mean, they've been holding on.
Yeah, Minnie, who do you think next game? Who do you think we're going to have to see? We're going to start to kind of develop here in game 3. Who do you think is going to really rise to the top now? Who are you hoping we're going to see pop off in this next game?
Let's hope that Cami and Seti can fix their issues and get a victory.
Okay, you heard it right there. Cami said, will they manage to do that or not? We'll find out very, very soon. Guys, we are ready and waiting to rock and roll. Shy 11 back in position as we dive into game number 3.
It is business as usual in EU now in the grand final. Squeezy and Vino have taken the stage with the Game 2 VR.
Easy as you do, right? This is exactly what they've been doing all season long. Tied for the most victory hours of any team throughout the qualifying weeks. I think this is a team who expected to win a game at some point. Will they continue to do it throughout today is the question.
If that's the case, this is trouble and danger for every other team on EU. If we're looking to win the actual FNCS, I think we found a team that's going to do it.
Hey, let's not speak too soon. We have game number 3 here on the way. And I think many people obviously have those guys predicted to win first place. And they've definitely started off incredibly well. But when the whole world expects you to win, that kind of pressure can get to you sometimes. And you know Vino has struggled with the pressure at times, right? He doesn't want that pressure. He said it very clearly multiple times. He'd rather people didn't expect him to do so well. Chulex and Chucha though. What's going on there? Southside Slappy.
We gotta land on a tree and farm it up. Is that a good thing or a bad thing for the start of your game? I'll be nice to see what's up about round 3 for a fight that's been so close, back to back. This time, I guess for the first time, we've seen some of the G and Malbuka actually on the power side of this one. Playing 2 spot high, actually Malbuka, 1 good shot, easy finish on the backside 2, dropping down to the mats now. 2v1.
Malbuka and Thomas finally finding some control in this off-spawn battle. And that's exactly what they needed. The other players just ran off though, so they're gonna have to try to find them. I don't know if they will, or they might just have to give it up completely.
That's one way, maybe. That's a strat. You sacrifice one teammate, That way you can both make it off spawn. It's a guaranteed disengage.
Assuming they don't camp the card. You know, if I'm them, I'm just camping the card like, until he comes back. Like, he's not getting the reboot under any circumstances at all. If I'm them, though.
if you're them. If you're not them.
Yeah,
but if losing Steno, this has to be tough. I think this is expectation hindering a few of the next games coming through. This is a strong game one. You're feeling confident. You go for a few fights in game two overall. You start to get a little bit lackluster in performance. It's not the same passiveness, the objective-based movement on the map. And now they're kind of at a road stop on what to do next. Lucia instead of after one of these fights, good shot from Lucia. I'm not going to they're not prepared, but this man knows exactly what to do. Firebro, Arcus, I mean, the tough part about this POI, you just don't have that many weapons. And
Man!
5 for the final fight that starts. You're just relying more so on your position and who hits that first shot. For this one, it's Luce. It's so dark inside. Easy to hide in corners and go for a few surprise shots. Mini's found for the duo. They'll keep fighting as there's poor Futrick just running away.
Try to hide. Fair play to him for getting out, right? It's very rare you see a team get out.
When Tooth and Futrick make it off spawn from that racetrack, it's very different for the rest of the lobby compared to Thomas HD Malabuka. What a shot from Lucia once again. I'm not worried about this duo wrapping up this fight. Easy trade. Nice wrap up too. With Thomas and Malabuka now on the field, things are gonna look so different.
Hold on.
The rest of the server, Futrick with a comeback. I'm saying he might not have any effect.
Oh, man.
What a steal.
Look at this guy. Just waltzes in after admittedly losing the fight off spawn at the racetrack and is just giving other people problems off spawn now. These guys are off spawn menaces.
Turning a 0-point game into at least 4 there. Gonna be huge, and he might be able to even get Tooth back. Who knows? Snazy Podesai. Trouble in Paradise this time. It's not gonna be an easy claim to the Citadel.
And that stat at the top just speaks to the dominance of Suzu and Shimoki, right? No team was able to pick up their limbs on them and fight them like that before 7th zone this season until Snazy and Podesai showed up.
Watch is moving fast too. Gentlemen at an all-time high. I mean, they're seeing end games. They're doing really well off spawn. They're on the same page when it comes to a lot of these fights. 154-point mark. It's gonna be a good day for this duo. Mixon's to thank for that. A lot to play as in that last game, or a lot to thank for in that last game as a solo. Did really well, but Deal is the one who picks up Futrick at the end of the day. So that solo run ends.
And that's nice for Savage and Vanilla. Some free search, right? Not too shabby, a couple extra points for the boys. Swizzy, Shimoki, though, here at Citadel. Finally, we may get a chance to actually watch these guys play out again.
I feel like splitting Citadel is worse than going down off spawn.
You know what?
Heinous take.
I'm not even mad at it, bro. I'm not even mad. Because this game is not going to be the kind of game we've seen them have this season, right? Part of their dominance has been they've had that whole area. They have full control over that side of the map when they land it, though. They're not going to be able to have that kind of control here in this game.
Well, Tensi and Howley are familiar with that term, lack of control. Being hunted down over and over again. They don't get to move how they want to, go where they want to.
I think they'll take that over, you know, being taken down by Gabix and Shmeki, right? It's, again, another instance where, like, would you rather just lose your fight off spawn or at least play out the game in some sort of, you know, shambles, loot, run, path type of game? In most cases where there's so much on the line, I think most players would just play a scuffed game than no game at all.
Absolutely. And if that stops working, then maybe it's just time to contest Kenjutsu, you know? Go for the big one.
Let's not give anyone any ideas now.
If they want a 50-50 me, I mean, why 50-50 Citadel if you want to?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because there are some teams on the map that I think you know, are definitely at risk of being contested.
Yeah.
Definitely some teams in that category. I don't think Pixie and Della are one of those teams, for what it's worth, right? We obviously saw what they did last season at Breakwater Bay against Axos and Vortexes. But there are some teams. I'm not going to say who. I don't want to upset anybody. I don't want to upset anybody. I don't want to make any enemies. You know, I like to be friends with everybody. But definitely some teams who come tomorrow, they need to watch over their shoulders when they're gliding in.
If you speak, you're in trouble.
If I speak, I'm in big trouble. I don't want to be in trouble.
Outside Slove, I'll say officially round 2 for them, even though it's game 3 and fighting side by side against another duo. Cammy Steady, Mini saying that he wants to see these guys win a game. I mean, although their prowess is high, and we were also kind of dispelling a lot of the notions that this might be a tough FNCS for them. The way they're playing, the kind of, you know, ebb and flow of staying low a little bit and having that as your home ground in some of these end games, it seems tough, man. There's so much chaos that happens in the 8th, 9th, 10th zone. You might not have as much control as you did in previous FNCS seasons. Steady and Cammy might have to have like a different game plan come end game at least to translate some of these games into points.
Yeah, I think the big thing for them, right, that we've seen in these past couple games is that they are getting to the point where they have to drop down low, like, too soon.
Yeah.
Right, you only really want to be dropping to play low ground when you're starting to run out of maps and you can't top out mid-ground layers anymore. These guys are getting to that point a bit too soon, right? They need to sort of, you know, try and be a bit more efficient in the way, and if not being more efficient, find more refreshes, right? We saw last game they were down on Surge. This isn't what we want to see from those guys. So they definitely have to make a couple adjustments as these games move on.
See exactly what adjustments look like for the rest of the map. Taco, what's going on in the FNCS?
Difficult parts about a grand finals lobby is that the caliber of player is that much higher in terms of the standards being set for Storm Surge damage threshold. We've seen so many duos today already kind of struggling with making sure that they stay on top of it. But for Ski and Bacon Season, they're making sure that they're looking plenty healthy north of Brutal Bastion, making sure to just secure all of those Storm Surge tags early on with this natural height position and plenty of heals for tagging it up.
And there's something we bang on about, right? These players will prepare their strategies, make plans, but ultimately you don't even know if it works until you get into the lobby, right? Because you can't practice for this lobby in terms of Storm Surge. Like, you cannot practice for it. There's no lobby that will be like this that you play throughout the season. With the stakes being so high and just, you know, how the actual grand finals affects mentality of players. So, yeah, it's why the first day is so important. You have to learn from it and come through tomorrow, you know, with big adjustments being made.
Yeah. Even these 6 games of practice do not prepare you for tomorrow. It's almost a completely different lobby, right? It's so tough. I feel bad, too, for all the Ski's opponents on the north side. A lot of the times I feel like people choose the Glaciers in the north because you have a little bit of your own space. You know there's a fight Lonely Labs. Suddenly there's a team towering at Bastion, shooting at everyone. That wasn't part of the plan.
Yeah, and that area of the map is so flat and open, right? That, like, it's, you know, you can't really sort of, like, get out of harm's way a lot of the time. You're going to just have to commit materials to protect yourself.
Precise and Taste also dip into that land sometimes to see what they can find. Once again, a lot of people are just used to being by themselves, by their lonesome. A lot of the newer FNCS challengers players looking to be champions start there and then fall under the pressure. For Doxy, Jerky, we're talking about control at the first start of this game. And what that looks like, that means actually starting the fight, putting the pressure down first yourself. The last time we saw these guys had been chased. This time it's them bringing the power to Queasy and Vino, who don't want to get away for free.
Yeah, what a surprise. Vino and Queasy here on dead side of zone. I mean, I've never seen something like this before, have I? No, we see this every single match, every single game. This is the kind of spot they want to be in, and of course, yeah, Jerky giving them some problems for a bit, but then eventually being pushed off there. Thomas and Malabuka, now that they're playing in the game, will get the chance to base up and look for Surge here like we see all of these racetrack teams do. Now as the zone starts to pull north, they will start to move north themselves. And I'm very intrigued, right? Obviously we don't know right now, but I'm very intrigued as to how much damage they've dealt, whether or not they will be behind on Surge. I think sort of playing for Surge bases in this kind of lobby in grand finals, it's a very basic strategy. And if you hit the shots, fine, it'll work. If not, you know, all of a sudden, you know, the game's flipped on its head and you're desperately trying to find Storm Surge.
Well, some of the things we've seen so far, Pitcher and Tus have tried it, and when we tuned into them late game, they're having surge issues. Game 1, we saw Steady and Cammy try it. When we tuned in with them, they were 150 below in the 9th circle. So it looks like right now, you're definitely onto something. These bases not really finding too much. I mean, we saw Ski actually having some success. How much damage, though? That is the question. Boaz and Journey on game 2.
Rende Fiorginho. Quando não quita pau. Papuzão, tucudão, para de não mandar chovão. Mamacita. Mamacita que ela é cozi, ela pele. Ela pele que não tere. Crazy the Legends. Rapé. What the fuck? What the fuck? Wow!
Already their game potentially with Mama, now back out of his back over to here at this cash.
Allô? Allô, il y a des gens qui m'entendent ou pas?
Cash could spawn a reboot then or something.
Ah non. Ah non.
Claiming the floating island is going to be huge. Talk about making the most of the game you're allowed to play.
But this is what they've been doing, right? All season long. They've been trying to condition everybody in the lobby to know, look, don't come up to the Rift Island when we're alive, because we will be there. This time around, they get the boss rifles for free. We know they can cause havoc with it. We know that they can be absolutely manic in endgames, just taking out players. We've seen other teams do it, and these are two of the best teams in the lobby.
Oh, rien.
And so definitely,
Rien. Rien. C'est grave bien fait, non? Oui, non, mais rien.
Really causing issues over at Southside Slappy.
What do you even do against that? Hydro surfing on Fastroki's head, dropping into the box. You have like, you know, when you're trying to sneak in the movie theater, the old movies, you have someone in a trench coat, one on top of each other. That's coming into your box.
Oh, c'est nul, non? C'est vrai comme ça, frère.
Chulex, Chicky that wants to actually have control of Slappy right now up top. Mixing and Blotcher control of the in first place, at least to start this game.
Wesh, t'as là. Il y a un mec qui est en train de...
That's where it's important. Paradise, and this is tough because not only are they stuck, so one team in front of them, they're going to have to fight if they white line it. And on the right and left, basically on all sides, there's Trident looking at the leaders of the lobby right now. You see on the minimap on your left, red arrows all the way on the left, a blue, and then pink up top, almost a flag looking.
Ne, zapnul něco a tady takhle běží celou dobu video.
Shut up, bitch! Such a tough spot. It goes back to what I was saying earlier. That area of the map is so flat. There's no ridges they can just sort of hide behind and use to get into zone. Unless they go all the way south and drop down out of this glacier area, it's just not going to happen.
This might be a difference than we're expecting in this game. Shimoki, Swizzy alive, following them on this rotation, causing this traffic jam. We know they love the shadow duels and strike when things are looking the absolute most bleak. Thing is, though, no one in this entire box has any kinetic blades. Obviously, ODM gear's not in the business. So what happens when this is done? How do you get out? Well, one way is to go straight to the lobby. That's the one Mix is going to be forced to take. That's first place eliminated for this game. Now, Zone will have to move, so some of the teams that are holding will also have to get out of dodge. Malabuka, Thomas HD, pulse rifles in tow for this duo. I mean...
Like, in theory,
yeah.
Malabuka and Thomas making it to endgame with max mats, pulse rifles, golden shotguns, kinetic blades, and just infinite heals. Like, way above on Surge. Why shouldn't they just win the game? Like, why? Like, why?
Does that game end?
You know what I mean? But like, what? Like, in theory, you're looking at it right from that point of view. Like, why shouldn't they win the game? It'd have to come down to them making a mistake, them having some sort of poor play.
Okay, so say that they do, and say this pattern repeats. say they have 2 bad games into 1 godlike game where they get everything. Is 4 games enough for a top 5?
Yes.
Over 2 days. 4 good Thomas HD Malibu.
Okay, maybe not. Oh, I thought you were talking about 4 on each day.
No, I mean like 2 in each game, so 4 in total.
Look, with how elimination heavy the format is, it just depends on how good of a game we're talking here. Are they about to, like, you know, drop 20 bombs or something? Like, what's actually happening here?
I mean, what's actually happening is more opponents in the fray. Vino is back.
Rebooted.
Will it cost Squeezy his life is the question, because he had to stretch for this one. We know there's a cash, and they have a lot of it.
They're heading back to the hills, right? And that's the silver lining for them. If you're in the zone, in the case of Dre and Pachara right now,
I mean, you're not going to be in there for longer. Once again, most unfortunate, it seems like, type of elimination onto Pachawa. I'm rating him the unluckiest man on EU. Thomas, you're seeing Malibu with pulse rifles on your box.
hey man, you gotta make your own luck in lobbies like this. You gotta make your own luck. He's, if we keep finding Pachawa in situations where it's saying he's unlucky, I don't think it's unlucky.
I'll still give him the benefit of the doubt. This is just unfortunate. Flixie though. I mean, okay, making your own luck. Reason down. One of the causes of why they had a little bit of a rough last game. But they're now in the business.
Yeah, but rotation will have to be made here, right? In terms of how they move. Kinetic blades in hand, and they're probably gonna have to start going towards that left side. You see Vino and Queasy opting to do what the rest of the lobby isn't doing. Everybody's going towards the left to try almost white line their way into zone. These guys pushing and moving towards that right side.
That's crazy. If they actually are able to get it off, they technically shouldn't be, because not only do they have to stop and heal, they have a different vehicle this game. Usually an epic variant of kinetic blade. That's how they're able to take height. That's how they basically won game 1. They're stuck on rare now. They're stuck on just 2 charges instead of 3. Very different game for the duo.
Yeah, and that one charge makes the difference. Completely makes the difference. It's such a massive wow! Big refresh onto Juriki, a player they were fighting early in the game. They'll get his mythic shotgun as well. In the hands of Vino, anything is possible with that. But you see it, right? They went against the grain of the lobby, and it paid off for them. They pick up a nice little elimination. Let's see how exactly they did it, falling right into his face and cleaning things up.
You saw his match there too. 100 wood, that's all Vino really had left. Everything from Juriki now back into the inventory. So that's going to be huge, and just luckily enough, zone's going to pop a little bit more towards that south side. Queasy and Vino at least given room to breathe. Trulich and Cheeky, we can see exactly what the benefit of being up top on Slappy looks like, how much damage you can put down, about 300 above the threshold. Everyone from the left side of the map not going to be able to have such a good game. Flodax going down, Floki not being able to just hang around. And this entire build shot before Resguard even gets to think he's taken out by
Anonymous,
so many boxes.
Raciste.
Yeah, you're seeing now as well. Last game we had moving zone search. So nobody's sitting still. Everybody's going to be very aware and looking to try to get their damage up when opportunities strike. Juriki and Hydro need to be careful that they don't find themselves on the receiving end of a team desperate to take a fight.
323 ma tady ten level.
Malabuka and Thomas, so again, you don't want to get
Ale co to je tohle?
chopped out.
Nevím, no tak tam zatím jde tam to video furt.
I like this from Thomas and Malabuka, just staying low key, keeping the surprise
No to schrapa.
an absolute mystery. What they're probably going to want to do is just let this zone lock in and then maybe look for different at a higher box. Don't want anyone interrupting that whatsoever. But I can call the lead after Blatch and Mixon go down in this game. Boxy and Kaizen also looking to cause a little bit of havoc. Some fire on the snow. Let the low ground melt. And then every single box finish basically in front of them. 226 above. Still looking for a little bit more damage. Jay and Cause are not going to be able to see this one. It's Shimoki actually gets an elimination. So we were wondering.
Jakich lidí se tam je v tom kružku.
Both have kinetic blades now. And they're looking mighty fine. Della going down. Queasy picks that up. Another big refresh, and that's Queasy onto Della. That looks like height might be free for them again.
We'll see if they have what they need to be able to play for it, though. Even if they don't, we know how strong they are, especially this season, making improvements to their mid and low ground game. They're comfortable playing on all layers now. We're dealing with Savage, a game where we finally get to see them in the end game. Unfortunately, not a game where it seems like they'll be able to do much. They're down on Surge. And I don't want to keep banging on about it, but this is what I was worried about. Will they have Surge figured out in the grand finals? And so far, it doesn't seem like it.
That just must be so sad. I mean, the best part about this is that maybe Vidil gets to play with both inventories at least. No! The blunder from Vidil. We'll tune in still. Boaz Dirty, same situation. A lot of the boxes that were around Thomas HD, Malabuka, are suffering in terms of surge. It was so quiet on that side. And they have to both move. And this is, once again, it just looks like such a good spot to be in, but they can't really reap the benefits of this type of rotation. They need to find a fight.
They have to find one quickly, right? We know just how restrictive it can be to your play. That one spot. They're gonna land down below. He tries to group up with his teammate, and they have to start getting creative. They know a team's right beneath them there, and yeah, they'll look for it. Creative play's gonna come out. They take the wall, but aren't able to get anything more out of it.
This is just stress for the whole lobby. Over and over again, they're just getting pulled up into higher elevated ground. There are no bounce backs. Everyone's mats being tested. Boaz and Dirty do have a lot, and there is a team that can guaranteed fight, but they're looking to just skip it over entirely. Elect for the beam instead. And nope, being that exposed for Boaz, I mean, so many mats to use. He's gonna go down. That's huge for True Legs. Pixie also left alone as Della went down moments before. It's Vacant and Ski, who we saw beforehand. Taco was giving us a breakdown. Started up towards the ice. Started on the Bastion. Had control, had a huge base, and that base extends. Like a virus in the sky. That's claim on everything.
And it's another game where we're seeing a team with a home zone doing incredibly well. They had the plan, the setup was there, and now they're trying to capitalize on it.
Drink more than what can fill in their cup, though. I mean, they've had a very good game so far. A few more teams go down. Now they look good on Surge. They were looking bad moments before. This is an insane comeback story, though, in terms of just this game. Queasy, Vino, back in action. Match looking good. Cammy, Seti, in terms of brutal Bastion, know exactly how to navigate as well. Especially as they keep pulling through.
Che tu sono PlayStation, anzi, saltava per PC desktop messo.
Really badly with that player hiding in the corner. They didn't realize, but it doesn't punish them. They can keep moving.
Looking more dangerous now because they're
Che mi pare che sotto ma quelli devi stirare una moneta.
They're just waiting to pull that trigger a little bit later. That's exactly the adjustment they needed to make. Tommy Vanyak, though, might be the leaders of the lobby, but they're in trouble.
Yeah, down on Surge, but what position to be in where you're down on Surge, you can pop some spare slurps and start to make your move. That gives them the freedom to keep making their rotation in.
I love this blade style all the way under height, so you're not really focused. You get the second height for free, indeed. Thomas HD, if you're here for classic EU type plays,
Ale to je zajímavé, že nad ním je něco Karlin 06, ale sama v tom to nevidím. Mezi těma šestky.
They will just melt high ground and take it for themselves. You know, still alive in this one, all the way down below though, box to box, in each other's faces and picking up limbs along the way. They're gonna keep moving though, Kinetic blading now towards the front of the zone, but taken out. And Vino falls as well. Going down in a flash.
Made Mess look organized, but does not have enough time to keep seeing out the rest of the game. Taking in True Lex with a shot on the Vanyak, that's the lobby leader. And they'll be able to keep moving on this high ground layer. It's been so tough to make. Has stayed side by side.
You see, oh my goodness, Thomas melting everybody from above. If you go up, you will fall down. And not by your own mercy, not by your own might. They will be the ones to chop you out. These guys are on a tear right now, and everybody in the lobby is feeling it.
500 damage in 2 seconds. Left click's not stopping. Trigger's not being held back. We're stashed now, left alone after one big jump. Not much else to say or do. No one can really fly sky high.
And I know this guy is capable of solo clutches, but this one's going to be difficult. The chunk splashes will give him a bit more time in zone, but the builds aren't there. He needs to start thinking about using that shotgun and putting it to good use. He has to get up over this glacier though, has the kinetic blade to do so, but once he does get into zone, you've got to start worrying about all these different players around you. Finds a clear layer for a second, but there is a player down beneath, and he misses that shot. Can't afford to miss anymore.
Ooh, it's a whole duo. Gonna be Link going down. PKR left behind. Mustache gets exactly what he needs to keep playing the game, but once again, he tried to go to the sky. It's owned by Thomas HD. Malabuka beside him. Those pulse rifles just pack such a punch, and no one can really have any type of...
Takže taky posraný, no.
So easy for them, right? They see those players blading in a straight line, and they just have to practice and practice, and we know their aim's on point. Shakos and Skydu now gonna try to do something, but we see the story, the script is there.
The anti-air turret now has to go for a fight on the ground, but give Thomas a pixel, we'll give you 132 damage. Fire. 1v2 doesn't need teammates. Thomas HD ends the game.
We attend. We said you give these guys a chance to play a game. You give them pulse rifles, they're gonna have a big one. It doesn't get bigger than that. Double-digit elimination game here in game 3.
Tallest dice on 6 basically for the scheme, and they make it work. To play one game. That's them with the weights off their feet, moving at maximum speed. We haven't seen anything that efficient in EU. Even if you try to go for that surprise jump at perfect height, the shotgun switch is there. And Thomas is like, yeah, we can go for a few highlight reels, double jump downs, but what if I just do it myself and end the game?
Every single player in this lobby is going to be on their knees begging to Saputric to win on spawn, because they cannot allow these guys to keep having games like that. If they keep getting the Rift Island for free, it's going to be absolute chaos for everybody in the lobby.
There's just one weakness, and that's kind of off spawn. It's not even a weakness even. It's unpredictability. And if that's the case, this is one of the strongest duos on the scene.
I'm very, very excited to see the shape risen now after having such a top game after 2 bad ones.
So much to talk about. I mean, packing a punch with the pulse rifle, that's exactly what happened. Breaking
Autobots,
That's the power of the pulse rifle, that's the power of taking big risks, and that's exactly what this duo are all about. If you watch any of their games this season, when they have been contested, they have had some issues off spawn, but when they make it off spawn, when they have those pulse rifles in hand, all they make is Thomas taking That's the power of Thomas HD. He's just elim after elim after elim, double-digit elims just for Thomas HD. You can see here, he does not
shut up, bitch!
Single shot with the pulse rifle in Thomas and Malabuka's hands. I mean, the whole lobby, Levin and Shia were saying it, like, they're in danger.
Yeah, they are. Thomas has eaten a good breakfast this morning.
Ale widzę, że to Mania finalze tam to nemá tam.
Lots of breakfast going down here. Amazing scenes.
I ain't reading all that.
Force here, dominating the skies. Let's have a look and see exactly how this affects the leaderboard here as well. We can see here Vanyek and Kami 202 points here, but in second place, Queasy and Vino consistently managing to get points on the board against Takata. I mean, we've talked about them so much. We've talked about
Take home an FNCS Grand Finals. We said it before, if I had to bank on a duo taking it home, it's going to
That was a really poor game from them, particularly when it got to that end game. They actually run out of materials, they actually run out of steam. We saw, of course, Veno taking out Jiroki early on in this game. They actually had a really nice, favorable 7th zone to actually pull towards them. But that 8th zone was really where it got a little bit difficult. They had to expend a lot of materials going into this end game. And we saw them fragging out on low ground, trying to make something happen. And ultimately, it was the Storm that took them both out. It's a really difficult situation.
Yeah, I mean, it almost looked like Queasy, you can see there, he kind of got blocked by Vino when he used his kinetic blade, and got eliminated by the Storm. So, you know, it happens, a little unfortunate, but they're still in second place, so they can't really be mad at the moment.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at the first place team right now as well, with 202 points, courtesy of 18 eliminations, 130 places. I mean, this duo, after 3 games, in a great position right now. They're kind of atop the leaderboard. Great game 3 for them.
Hello,
Yeah, I mean,
and welcome to the Los Pollos Hermanos family. My name is Gustavo, but you can call me Gus.
朋友是一个坚韧不拔的纪录片，在香港这座城市的设置。主演钱德勒、罗斯、吴波斯尼、瑞秋、莫妮卡和一些其他参加的演员。
They did it, and they certainly did. You can even
see here, I mean, Malabuka and Thomas HD, they're currently in 10th position, up 40 places in one game. That is how things change here in Grand Finals. It can happen in a heartbeat. One of the great things, of course, about a Grand Final is we get a chance to chat to some brilliant people in the community as well, and someone who is a familiar face to FNCS right now. We're joined by the almighty Reddish right now. It is so good to see you, Reddish. How are you? You're watching Grand Finals. What's the experience been like for you after the first 3 games? How are you enjoying it so far? I don't know if she can hear me right now, but hopefully any second now she can.
I can
technical difficulties. We'll come to Reddish in just a second's time. Oh, we'll do now. Oh, we're up there. We're up there. Okay, hey, Reddish. Oh, hi. I'm there going, Reddish, amazing to see you. And I thought you were because blanking me. And that was it. I was getting a bit worried there. But Reddish, it's good to see you.
I can hear you.
Great. Good. It's so good to see you. How's Grand Finals been for you so far?
I mean, Malabuka just won, so I'm very happy.
I love that.
I'm so happy.
Of course, you played with Malabuka a lot as well in some of the tournaments that you played in. What's that like? Give us a little insight. What's it like to play with a Tier 1 pro like Malabuka?
It's great. I even hosted my own tournament because I made it co-ed so that I can play with a pro player and experience that again. I think it's amazing for us as creators to play with pro players because we have a lot to learn and we get to discover a different side of them, I would say, like their personality, and I don't know, it's amazing to feel like you can keep up with them too.
You love those collaborations, and you said there's a lot you learned. So I actually want to know, what's something that maybe you've learned from Malabuka or generally just from watching FNCS?
One very important thing I learned from Malabuka is that you can actually jinx your team. Like that's very real. Like we were super hyped. Malabuka just
No tak hlavně ten počítač vypne normálně, než zatáhne jenom za šňůry.
I was so hyped and super cheerful. We also got the cash right next to us, and then things went downhill. Like we got Acorn 1v2ing us just because we kept going on and on. I think he explained that jinxing is real, and you have to be happy like 1-2 seconds in the moment, but then focus up.
The jinx is indeed real. We're so hyped to have you here. Where can we find you online on social media?
My name is Reddish, so Thank you, and GXR on top. I hope you're gonna win.
I mean, great to talk to everybody in the community. I love that. Reddish, what a legend. He's great, yeah, really great to see. Interesting as well. I mean, great question as well. Finding out how how the pros do the call-outs, because everything happens in such a quick time, such a small moment there. You have to make those calls. Interesting to hear that from her, Mini.
Yeah, definitely. Even the jinx thing. I mean, I hope that Thomas and Malabuka wouldn't jinx themselves. Knowing Thomas, he won't be happy with 10s. They want to go for the win.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, there you heard it right. I mean, there we go. We're rapidly going through the Grand Finals here right now. We're hearing news that the battle bus is ready to roll. What will happen in the next game? It's time to find out. It's back over to Shayo and 11-2K as we head into game number 4.
The 4th game of the day is upon us. We've already seen so much take place all across these 3 games so far. And here in this 4th one, I can't wait to see which team steps up next.
Yeah, the best part about EU today is that there is no pattern really on who just ends up winning these games back to back to back. It's more so a fresh face to see every time, more power from some of the best teams in the EU.
I think the best thing though is that each fresh face is one that we're familiar with, right? One that we know has the ability to come out and win multiple games, and we'll see if they can do that here again. Game number 4 is ready. Let's hop right in. The players are ready to try and fight out of the winners of game 3, Shayo. Again, is my question.
I mean, jumping 40 places from game 2 to game 3, Thomas and Malabuka, you can see the inconsistency of the day. It's all on this off-spawn fight. Swizzy and Shimoki as well, being able to change their fates and play that game 3 made things so different for a lot of the teams in these end games in terms of surge.
Tady to ty kolečky, to jsou asi ty
to play with, so everything's starting to change a lot faster in EU, this major. These are some of the fastest adjustments we've seen in I would say just the history of FNCS itself across all chapters. And Thomas and Malabuka landed once again one of the hottest fights to see. It changes the entirety of how the day looks like. And I don't like to be in a power position like last time. Tusin Puchik get the slurp shot as well. So they have so much shield to work with. Malabuka has position, but he needs to land his shot. Sky high, he's focused, but
Když nechceš.
Might be over for Thomas too.
Proč? Nebudeš koukat na mě?
This is just absolute tough scenes. Toos is lower. Thomas is up close. Wrap it up though. This will not be a game that we see the powerhouse duo strut their step once more in EU.
These guys are even getting third party themselves. Who's that? Is Bevies and Bevies. What are these guys doing? Everybody wants to get in on the fun.
They're saying, listen, if Thomas and Malibuka are allowed to play the way they like to, maybe it's about time for us to look like we're in tip-top form as well. Change landing positions, calibrating, go find team. And instantly, they're up for the charge, for the chance. Bevy's finding Tooth, and Kuchik, you can't get away. You will be hunted too.
This is very tough. Very tough, because you go up 40 places, you finally get a chance to play a game, and then bam, momentum locked off once more. Right now they have to sit and just wait for another half an hour almost. It's not an easy thing to do at all.
And the way Racetrack is set up, there's no way to disengage really even have a substandard game. I mean, the only people we're seeing on the map who got kind of interrupted at the start were contested and then changed their fates are on your screens right now. Shimoki and Swizzy, and even then, Podosai and Snazy do not want to let them go. They want things to be just as they were in that game number 1. They want this team to go down. That's exactly what Podosai is trying to force right now. One big shot, but has to follow through with a few more. They have so many maps, so this fight should go on and actually have, I think, a decided victory.
Yeah, these guys are friends, so they want to take the wall. There's a good chance the wall's going to so they're just going to keep playing on the aggressive, playing on the front foot.
Oh man, Podosai, angle huge, going for the beam. Few misses will prolong this fight. We're down to no match from Shimoki and Swizzy. About to see an all-in, and Podosai's by himself, so this might be the best chance. Snazy going back to maybe find a few mats or be in advantage position. 3 mats left for Podosai, so he has to do something here. Just 2 more left now.
Ooh.
Big shot, I like that. Another one.
I love the way he flipped the ramp there, created his own little angle, jumps up, hits the shot as well. That's really nicely done from 2, again, very experienced players in this region. Showing you how it's done. Stella and Pixie contested here at Breakwater Bay, and they found success contested last major. Up here right now against Aston Slovey, these guys are very difficult players to fight against, and so they'll make it a very tough battle, but if anyone's going to win a battle at Breakwater Bay, you'd think it's Pixie and Della.
They're looking for angles, even when they're caught off guard. Della, with his movement, forces the shot miss from Asa, but the second one, this man does not make a mistake twice. He's looking to wrap it all up. The trackness of the box is huge. The pressure's still alive from the other side, and claim twice! Asa is just too fast for him. Now he's gonna be playing support. Nope. He's actually winning a bit, and he's a front man once more. Huge for Asa. Up top, denied, re-edited on. And that's Pixie with a clap back.
Hold on, wait a minute, it's not done just yet. With the way Asa was moving, I thought it'd be an easy cleanup.
Della's still alive. He can get it.
Yeah, the revive can keep come through, so Pixie and Della might still be in this one. Ove running up, but quickly running back down. What a shot from Pixie, and he might just close it out here. The storm might finish the job. It doesn't feel like he's going to Can he splash him? Picks up the splash.
No!
Doesn't pick up the splashes in time, but it's fine, because he'll get the reboot card and he'll be able to reboot Della. But still, to win that fight, it wasn't looking good for them. But Pixie and Della come out on top.
It's textbook pyramid edit from Pixie as well. A lot of the time, you just have that pyramid in your box, able to get it up to be a ramp almost. You block one shot, re-edit it down. Easy shot to hit. Nice bait and switch. And yeah, it might not be perfect, but that was great from Pixie overall. Janice and Reason getting their game started too on that replay. Man, what a hot start to this game. Once again, it's still different. It's not the same fights we've been watching for the first 3 games. New contestants, new decisions by players in every single POI. I mean, there's a Bevies and a Pablo Wingu loose in the middle of the map. If you find them, please call me, let me know, because we need to get them contained or it's gonna look bad for a lot of the teams on EU. The fact that Queasy and Vino even made last game last as much as it did, huge.
It just goes to show just how locked in these guys, how keyed in they are to the meta and how to play the game. Juriki and Fredoxy, A team that maybe can't necessarily say the same, right? I spoke to Jericho, he said he wasn't confident, right, coming into the finals. He himself knows he hasn't done enough preparation, hasn't been working hard enough this season, but he's hoping that the work put in over the past week will be enough to just push them over the line. And even though it's been a slow start, Shio, things are never over when you have mythic shotguns in hand, and of course they control the vote here at Mega City.
One good thing they'll have going for them, no matter what the preparation looks like, they'll have 6 games to watch back at the end of day 1 to prep for day 2. One of the most important things in between the days. We've already seen Jerky and Prodoxy have some good adjustments, at least in how they fight and how they approach Surge from game 2 to game 3. Kaizen and Vox haven't seen too much for them on the day. So they're landing closer to that glacier, snow-esque side. The Bastion teams are making things so difficult. Refsguard and Hellfire. Levin, you were talking about the way they make decisions. Unfortunately, a wrong decision or an unfortunate zone bounce back got them eliminated in the last game. This time, they look to be strong once again. That last game, by the way, felt like it lasted 2 hours.
Right?
It's a long one.
A long one. Hellfire, though.
Oh! What?
He's just aim training right here in the grand final. Straight aim training.
That's like the biggest fear sometimes that you kind of disregard as a player too when you're kinetic blading. I won't build behind me. There's no way. Someone's gonna have to land like 4 body shots and a headshot while I fly. Who's capable of that?
Never think it happened. Never think it happened.
Could have happened to me.
Yeah, it wouldn't happen to you. You're just that guy, so it's a bit different. Then Lush not having to worry about Fiber and Artist. I believe they've taken them out. I'm guessing that's the 2 eliminations to their name. I've seen that fight a couple times. iDrop and Matt Nada right now not fighting in the Anvil Square, fighting just at the gas station outside of it.
Richard at least is making this last a long time. A lot more teams will fly by. He'll have a chance to breathe once again. I'm not sure if he has Tussa's card for the moment, though. He's been able to go back to that racetrack, but it's in zone, so might have a chance. Unfortunate thing, though, so many people are going to be basing around you. I think that reboot might not be a possibility here in Game 4.
Over here you see Glub Sheet and Cheaton in the zone at Brutal Bastion, and we have Mini Miner here to fill us in on what's going on at Brutal. Why are all these teams still in the zone?
Yeah, we haven't really seen too much from Brutal Bastion so far, but it's Glubsheet and Cheating that are actually managing to pick up this vault almost every single time. They're off the back of a 10th place finish right now, so going into Game 4, hopefully they can use these mythic pump shotguns, the Havoc pump shotguns, to find some success. At the moment, though, the off-spawn's a little bit of a stalemate. They're not trying to go for those early eliminations. Neither team is really going too aggressively, so hopefully they can use those mythic pumps later on down the line to pick up a better place.
Thank you so much, Mini Miner. You know what's better than a legendary pump? A mythic pump, and that's exactly what these guys have. Mini's facts, Mini's rights, and hopefully that power will pack a punch towards the end of the game. The deal Savage, a little bit of rocky start to the first half of games of day 1. Seem to make it towards the end of the game, but they're antisocial level. They're not interacting with anyone. They're not getting any shots off. We can't have that in EU. You have to be talking. You have to be shooting. You have to get that damage.
Where they're playing from right now in Naughty Nets, it's such a difficult area to get Surge, right? Like, you have to have, for a moment, I thought Default's cam was off. I was like, why are we even showing this? He's playing in the dark. He literally, when nothing's happening on the screen, he's just in the dark. Fair enough. Everybody likes to play their own way, right?
Focused in, no distractions.
I don't even know what I'm talking about now. I just completely lost my train of thought.
You're talking about Naughty Nets, Mr. Savage.
Yeah. Tough place, tough area to get Surge from. They're going to have to put in a lot of work tonight. A lot of work. Because when those two get to endgame, really strong together. They can get to endgame together really, really strong. I've loved what I've seen from Mr. Savage and IGO this season. I think he's improved so much. But they need to get there, and they're struggling to get there consistently.
They have like no options at all, right? It's not like Eurus and Howley and Chari have so many teams to fight. Going back and forth right now. Nice shot from Chari. Make the most of what you have. Oh, they're actually coming right back down for this fight. Jay and Cosmo are having that one. You're not gonna shoot me while I fly away.
Jay and Cosmo taking a fight in storm. Surprises? Are you surprised?
Same old, same old. I'm not surprised.
Same old, same old.
Yeah.
Same old, same old. But is this a fight they'll win? Garrett is bleeding out right now, and so it definitely gives them the upper hand. I don't think they'll go for the loot just yet. They're gonna look for the other player. Maybe
they're gone. Yeah. Blue lined it in. They're both just, okay, Cosmo's making sure that there's no third party waiting for him. Jay's lagging behind him, maybe trying to find that loot.
I think he was scouting out for Chari, right?
Oh.
They're not quite sure where Chari is. And he is just sort of hiding in the zone. They assumed he white-lined it straight to the zone, but he didn't. He's still off in the zone. And now Jay has found him, and so they'll start to push him. Not satisfied with just picking up Giras. They want Chari down as well.
I would assume it was 4 points here. Maxed on materials overall. You could probably get a lot more value from keeping this duo alive. Tags over time, right? Especially if you can dominate them like this and make sure they're completely restricted from excess materials and whatnot. But this at least guarantees points. So if placements is something that's, you know, not guaranteed and troublesome, getting a guarantee of points might be the wave still. I feel like just being in zone, having control is the best possible thing to do. Now Jay and Cosmo will have to go right into gold. That's not gonna be the wave. Flixie and Greg beat sky high. And we found Pablo Wingo and Bevies. We contained them in a box. They're no longer running around. They also have a sky base in Mega City.
I think the thing for Jay and Cosmo is that they're used to fighting off support and having a lot of early surge. So where they don't have that, they're trying to, you know, be very desperate in terms of how they get there. Jay, sorry, Flixie and Gripey, sorry, over here at Mega City. This is going to be one of the better zones for Mega City, where there's just going to be so many opportunities to take shots and players like that. Again, the problem comes down to, are you really going to be able to, you know, like, there'll be opportunities. There's going to be players rotating in this area, but players are much more alert in the finals, at least you'd think. Irazumian Synod over here at the Rift Island. It's funny because Malibuka tweeted after their win, stay away from the Rift Island. Synod and Irazumi like, yeah, I don't know about all that, guys. We're still going to make our way there.
Are y'all in this game? No? Okay.
All right.
Mile and now.
Oh, off to Rift Island we go.
Seems like to be a huge win condition for them because, yeah, it's also so cool to see how different those two teams use it. Thomas is obviously a little bit more towards the sky. Irazumi box to box. Kuzi Vino in a late Kenjutsu fight. And this is not for cash. This is not for positioning really at all because the zone's about to move. They just feel like fighting.
Well, fortunately, they ain't got to move. The zone pulls perfectly
wow.
on them
Okay,
again,
never
right?
mind.
They ain't really
sorry.
You clearly don't have the zones.
I wasn't familiar with your game. I have to apologize.
Yeah. It's all good, bro. But look, Doggy and Grayson are contesting these guys and making it, you know, really sort of difficult for them in terms of cutting off loot, just sort of disrupting their regular plan. And I know these guys have spent all week planning and really, you know, trying to figure out the finer details of this general area based off of the teams they knew were going to be around them. And so to see them still doing well, even with, you know, that sort of spanner thrown into the works where a team's just landing on you now that you weren't, you know, prepared for, it's, again, a big testament to why these guys are some of the best players in the world. They can adapt in the highest of stakes situations.
If you don't even believe what Levin's saying and you don't want to take opinion of sorts into facts or into account, you can just look at the way they are on the leaderboards, right? In their worst games. Still getting top 4 in that specific game. Still alive in the 10th zone. He's absolutely right. These guys are, I would say, the best in the lobby at turning the worst of situations, the biggest of surprises, into the best of circumstances.
Here for Bacon and Ski. Not going to be the kind of game they could play last time around where they just base up in their area and look for easy tags.
I mean, it might be just at least the first part of the game going exactly that way and helping them for the rest of it. 380 damage above Surge. I don't see many teams coming out of Brutal with that much of a padding to play with.
I think the big thing here, right, is that they have been fighting. They've been active.
Yeah.
And now as they make their way into zone, right, it's all about picking good spots as you get in. They're going to rotate in towards the congested side. And maybe they will look to avoid that, not go for the white line. Choose some boot trick, find themselves picking up some limbs. They need to be careful as well because they are deep in the zone.
Oh, they pick up Glubshy. And we're looking at them with the mythic pumps, and that's gonna look so good. And that power translates over to Deuce and Putrick. That's crazy. I mean, in terms of how this fight ended up dropping this far, this hard, it's tough for the team. Seems like Lush had everything set and ready to go. But now that racetrack team will have another game to play. Chicky and Trulex, I'm liking these guys today in terms of consistency. Every time we tune in with them, I think the highest on Surge overall, and they're adaptively picking very good spots in every zone. It's not just a big vertical tower, it's at top of Slappy or in the mid kind of ground of many big complexes that get built. It's really, really good.
Yeah, this is clearly a team that has thought well and hard about how they were going to play Surge in this lobby, and it is paying off. It is working out as good as it really can get, because like you said, they are consistently making it through the mid game without much worries. It's just about making things click once they get to end game.
Yeah, that's the issue. Maybe they have a bit too much padding, not that much pressure. In some of these games, people just jump in on their lair and they're not ready, not completely locked in for the fight, but that should change very, very soon. Crossbow J, easy slide in. Everyone rotating through Mega City. You can see how easy it is to find cover over here. So not many people will go down, but as a result, some of these teams who are very down bad on Surge might not have a chance to actually find it as much. Jay taking a little bit of damage, so a pit stop will have to be made. They'll go straight up. Probably weren't even planning for this, but let's see what Cosmo can find.
Yeah, and it might just work out better for them in terms of just having a higher position to Kinetic Blade from. Maybe get a bit more distance on their rotation.
Oh, look at where they have to land, though. Completely aquatic. And they're going to be forced into the water here. Next to the pier, next to Jury and Ferdoxy, which I personally, not someone I want to box beside because that's a fight waiting to happen.
Definitely not. Definitely not. And you're seeing what happens, right? When you sort of land in these positions just by the water, the team's elevated, sitting higher above in the land. They're just going to sit there and take shots at you. They know you're in an uncomfortable spot. Anchor and Gold barely moving out of the way of Hellfire and Resguard, but they're still going to keep applying that pressure.
They're trying to make the most of the situation because after this, they're not going to be able to interact with anyone really from this point on. Look at the rotation the entire lobby has to make, most of which, as we can see right now, you can see the lightning strikes. Every time you see one, that's a duo that's down on Surge. Vanyak and Karmi too. Once again, lobby leaders, 200 points, they're in first place. Issues with Storm Surge.
And in games where, Shai, we've already seen these teams struggling to hold onto their mats deep into the game, this is going to be one of the most taxing games on your materials there is.
This is a triple overlap Venn diagram. On one side, you have to build on water, your mats, cut in half. On the other side, you have to rotate with 20 teams, your mats, cut in half. And on the other side, there's 12 zones to play with, Levin. Your mats cut in half again. That's 3 halves. That doesn't mathematically equate.
No mats.
No mats.
Left. And we're going to see it. A team here, Vanyak and Kami, have been so impressive, leading the way in this lobby. Again, making a tough rotation, having to tank a bunch of damage, and he has the shields to deal with it, but he's slowly running out of the materials. Like you said, mats cut in half.
Twice, and now he has to also deal with Surge, the 4th half, and he's trying to find it, but then playing defense on that, going for these Surge battles, yeah, it costs you ammo, yeah, it costs you a little bit of damage, it also costs you mats.
And slowing down and having to stop here for just a couple of moments is going to give time for all those teams now from that side he was just on to now start rotating on top of his head. He needs to start moving quickly.
Tsunami of players, and you can see the pressure getting to him. Vanyak missed edit, and now that costs him half his mats. You can't.
Doesn't have any room. Literally no room for error here. Where's this even gonna land?
What?
This is gonna be so tough.
It's Reason and Janice. Okay, I mean, this is an okay position. Stuck right beside a rock, but everyone has to rotate into you, so... And I guess Cammy and Seti are looking to beam other players. No one's focusing on your box. I'm just worried for Vanyak.
The natural rotation for him to make there now would be with that Kinetic Blade, but he doesn't have mats to work with. So yeah. I don't know where he lands. He's gonna have to just try landing some of the boxes, I guess. Something crazy is gonna happen with him. Cammy and Seti, though, in a similar area to him, but they have much more to work with. Kinetic Blades with 3 charges will mean that they can safely get to the next zone and the materials as well. He's down on Surge. He's being taken out by everyone. People are watching him. People are looking at him, hiding behind a ramp, stuck against the side of this hill. It's all over for Vanyak and Carmen. You've got to start thinking about whether or not that first place slot's going to hold.
I think the lobby's just too close to call at this point. No way, Jose, but hopefully they can keep that top 5. Meanwhile, we'll tune into an alternate dimension. with Queasy and Vino, because once again, it doesn't look like they're in the same game. Do you feel a sense of pressure?
Right now, for them, no.
A sense of urgency?
No.
Any trouble, Surge?
Not one bit.
Oh, kinetic blades. Good? I mean...
Good.
That's ridiculous.
Doesn't get better than that for them, right? And you can see instantly taking tags onto players, rotating onto the side they want to get to. It's Vidil and Savage, and now they want to take this fight. And Vino, when he wants to take a fight, typically is a scary, scary sight. So very, very fortunate that a couple players start taking shots at them. They'll reposition, look for another angle, and then look to get ahead of that team, right? Prioritize the positioning over taking the fight. And now these guys are sitting in an even more comfortable position.
This is huge. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Irazumi, Sined, when it comes to influence, when it comes to not actually just hiding from things, having protocols to get you to the end of the game, when it comes to control, power, dominance on the field, these guys have pulse rifles and ultimate high ground. They'll see people move, and I talked about it already, when you have to move over water, when you're moving with 20 teams, when you're accounting for surge, you're not gonna have mats. That's one of the best things for a high ground team with pulse rifles. Mustache and Tayson also work really well against people who are very desperate. They'll bait layers below them even when they don't even exist, and Mustache does it again, finds a few tags, they're good on search, they have to move now.
And even their materials in this lobby look fruitful compared to what a lot of the other players will be looking and working with.
These players who are trying to work as soon as they get out of their box. I mean, for Mr. Savage, he tried to move Irazumi from up high, those pulse rifles. Once I'm gonna beam, he's gone.
And we know how powerful they are. The deal, having to play this one out as a solo, but I've seen so many great solo moments from him this season, and we might just get another one in our hands, putting that SMG to good use. Tayson Mustache, though, still alive, haven't quite hit the heights of their game one win, but now trying to make something happen, blading their way through onto zone, and ahead of all these other teams.
Oh, I see Queasy rising above. You can kind of see his fin like a shark above water, going for high ground. Not really collapsing on it just yet. This will be up against Irazumi, against double pulse rifles. It will be tough. Meanwhile, Vidil, really good solo clutch in the makings right now. Has that slurp ticking, has a spot a little bit closer to that low ground. Check out Sky, they're going to be pressuring him. They're going to go all in for that box. It'll be very tough for him to live. Vidil on the bottom side, Flixen going up towards the Sky too. Vino looking to actually claim it and hold it. Does anyone else want to challenge is the question. Sit up on the backside. Gets challenged, knocked down. No one's trying for it. They have it again.
Pushing people off, but still looking now to make sure they solidify it. Cammy and Say are down below, and they still have some materials. We're going to have to start thinking about how to get some more. Playing low ground in this lobby is much, much more difficult. With it going over the water, they need it to start pulling towards the islands.
Not an option for Cammy and Say yet, which means basically no points to accumulate in terms of eliminations. Reese and Janice, kind of in that same circumstance. They want to be able to dip to low to at least have a little bit of a chance to breathe, but that's not going to be possible, so they will get chipped away as they rotate towards their next box, their next layer. Now side by side against boxes down to wood. It's going to be tough. Mustache finds another as him and Tayson get split apart. It's up to him to solo this game, and he goes back and forwards into ground that doesn't exist, into the water, and somehow still finds himself alive.
The zone keeps pulling over water though, so these mats are just going to continue to be burned through. Vidil's making it happen though, running into a box, picking up Sined, and looking for even more. He's picked up Pandelex now. Vidil is on a tear. He has the pulse rifles, and he has a pathway to the zone.
Power in Vidil's inventory, but what can he actually do with it? Some mats to use as well. I drop map, down low, bounce back. How does that look in this claustrophobic layer? On all sides, mats are dwindling, running low. The corners of your screen turning dark. You're not sure exactly where to shoot. No one's making the first edit. No one's going down just yet. You have to force something. Spray on the walls. Matt looks for it, but can't find anything.
The zone just pulled far, and it's pulling far again. These guys are going to have to make the last of these couple of builds because they don't have any more left. The shotguns need to start connecting. They have the angle, they have the peak, and they have the shotgun pellets. Hitting one, Gripey falls before Matt falls as well. iDrop has to respond. He's looking to try to solidify that. That's 4 points added to the tally.
Finds the finish. An enemy swims right below him, and iDrop can't even see. 29 HP to work with as just a few more duels left alive. Reason going to be his next target, and he strikes from down below. Trapped. Will he have a chance to breathe again? He's just trying to outlast things, play for that placement. 4 more duels gone down. Huge decision from iDrop. Mixon now back in tow with his duo. Him and Blotch have a chance to win too.
Mixon just focused on staying alive. They didn't quite realize, but now they do. They know he's below. They'll drop down, try to take him out. Don't have that fall. Wall chop it. iDrop will try and respond, but he's no match. Mixon and Blatcher have it easily. Vino now dropping down. He wants to close out the game. He doesn't even want to give them a chance to breathe and realize it's a 2v2. He drops down, picks up one, looks for the other, and it's done. Queasy and Vino, another victory for this team.
A spear with a sharp head in front of it. This duo is unstoppable, unreachable, and absolutely lethal inside the first day of EU.
In a game where so many teams felt like they were struggling, trying to hustle their way through that game, these guys had the easiest of rides. It was so simple for them all throughout that end game, and they close it out in typical Queasy and Vino fashion.
I'm hearing that Queasy's falling asleep. He's having trouble staying awake except in CS. I mean, if you're playing like this, then things are going to protocol. They're going your way. Vito's down low, taking on these 1v2s. Everything's going to plan. These guys are the bread and butter of EU. Nothing can stop them.
And look, we were talking about how earlier Queasy's probably falling asleep on hype. He most definitely is. Because earlier in the season, he would have at least had to heal off, right? You know, try play for the heal off, run back in his zone, have to actually do something. Now he can just sit there and watch as Vino picks up all their limbs down below.
Whether it's comedy, action, suspense, you can give a tag for this duo because we can't really figure it out. Are they sleeping? Are they awake? We know they're great. What do Adam and the analyst think? Because that's a nuts game.
Absolutely nuts. I mean, Queasy and Vino again, victory royale here. I mean, I'm glad we hyped up a couple of shows because they're proving that the proof is in the pudding right now. Unbelievable scenes. I mean, the fact that they split up as well. One, you know, Queasy up top, Vino down below, sweeping up. Absolutely amazing. Taco, what a great game from this pair.
And it's almost expected at this point. I mean, the moment that you see Queasy establishing himself on that high ground, just continuing to pose such a threat from above, he doesn't even need to IGL for Veno. He can use his own eyesight, and it became a situation of stay alert, stay alive for everybody aside from those two.
Look, I'm getting a little sense of deja vu, right? We've seen this today. We've seen Queasy and Vino dominate that high ground from the 1 versus 2 down below to Queasy, you know, up in the clouds, kind of looking down. Oh, Vino just took out 2 opponents, just got us the VR, you know, I'll take it.
Absolutely right. I mean, this team right now, we love to kind of share with you guys at home how much we get excited about these particular duos and who we think is going to go all the way. But it really is a case now of everything they've done up until this point, the experiences they've had. It all comes together, the combination, everything. We're seeing it in front of our very eyes here. Why they are so good, but they're able to move with everything that's thrown in front of them. They are an unstoppable force, Taco.
Again, it's just the awareness level, really, that this duo chooses to consistently maintain throughout the entirety of a single lobby, because it doesn't matter who might actually be trying to prioritize height. At some point, if Queasy and Veno are still up, they're going to chop you down, and they're going to besiege it by force.
Look, they make it happen, right? They can get the job done. I'm looking forward to see if maybe we can get a Thomas HD off spawn again and have them go up against Queasy Vino in the late game, but they're going to have to get off the start for that.
Yeah, I think we'd all love to see that. But what we're excited to see here as well is currently how the leaderboard stands as well. Let's take a look at this. The standings right now, and there they are atop the rest of the pack here in Grand Finals after the game from before here. Queasy and Vino with 280 points, 20 eliminations, 200 placement points. I mean, they are way out in front here, Taco.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, having 2 victory royales is really starting to become more of a separating factor. Those eliminations might be worth 4 points a pop, but if you can just keep collecting more and more game 1 wins, there's only so much you can do. And Queasy and Veno, they just seem unstoppable.
They do, but let's take a look at the number 2 on the leaderboard. Blacha and Mixin at 246 points. This duo is not someone you want to sleep on. Mixin here, you can see 4 eliminations already, bumping it up to 5 on SETI. They were looking unstoppable in this match. The synergy, the chemistry, they were playing together. And although it did ultimately end with the Veno 1 versus 2, at least they got that 2nd place and a good amount of eliminations that bumped them up to that 2nd place spot on the leaderboard.
They're basically just making do with what they've got, because we can see their mats running incredibly low, forced to kind of just take shelter underneath some of those low layers that have already been established from before. But I think where it really starts for this duo is that they've actually been slightly surprise contested over at Meadow Mansion. It's been Mikkel and Monet that have been forced off of their original drop spot because of Hanyak and Karmi. And so seeing Blacha and Mixin find that success, I think, stems back to the fact they've got their damage early.
Yeah, they really have. They've bumped up 3 points to 3 positions now into 2nd. Let's look at the rest of the leaderboard here as well. We can see now as well, Kami and SETI, there they are, sat in 7th position right now. 8 eliminations, 170 placements. They are putting themselves in contention. They're managing to stay in there. May not have a victory royale just yet, Takata, but they're managing to get in there, at least put themselves up for consideration when it comes to Grand Finals and the Action Champions.
Right, it's not a bad place to be in, right? Being in the top 10, being in the 7th place spot, they're kind of one big game away from bumping themselves up to that top 3 or even, you know, 2nd, 1st place on the leaderboard. We saw what Thomas HD and Malabuko were capable of when they got a big, impactful match. So if Kami and SETI can keep up the consistency and then get one big game, you know, they'll make their way up that leaderboard.
I mean, I think Steady and Cammy are probably the embodiment of slow and steady wins the race, because how many times have we seen them in this position where they're not necessarily in that top 5 just yet, but it only takes 1 or 2 games to actually catapult yourself into that position, and it's proven already by how far they've climbed as is.
It really is. It's exciting. It's 4 games down, 2 to go today. But one thing we often talk about here on the show is Storm Surge. For newer players as well, they want to get to know exactly what's going on here. But Storm Surge, look at this. I love the lights have changed like a superhero. Full control right now. Storm Surge, a massive factor in this. And for those that might be wanting to know more about it, how has it been affecting Grand Finals thus far?
Yeah, so let's take a look here. We're on the southeast side of the map by Mega City, and if you look at the left side of this zone, that's going to be the congested side, and that's exactly where Vaniac and Karmi positioned themselves, but on a hill, so they're elevated enough to see all those duos that are rotating in through the POIs to the congested side of this zone, where the contrary dead side by Naughty Nets and Fujitsu Crossing and doesn't have a lot of people. Now they have a lot of options from all these players, all these duos rotating in to get that damage.
And what I really love about this from Vaniac and Karmi is that this is key adaptability here, something that you kind of expect from a duo that's consistently made it into Grand Finals 10 times combined, because Vaniac, Karmi, they used to be able to depend on Mikkel and Monet at their original drop spot south of Frenzy Fields, but since they pushed off Mikkel and Monet from trying to directly 50-50 them there, this is their adaptation. By choosing to take sites instead towards that congestion over by Mega City. Granted, it didn't pan out for them, they definitely had their struggles, but it's the thought that counts.
It's the thought that counts, but I mean, they got a good job done, right?
They get a great job done. I mean, I think the Storm Surge, I mean, having to not think about it when you get those tags, they're so pivotal as well. I mean, everything's to play for. 2 games left today, and a whole day tomorrow as well. We are going into our next game very shortly. Who will top the leaderboard by the end of the day? 2 games left to find out what's going to happen next, but I feel another storm brewing right now. I can feel it in the air. It's time to jump into game number 5.
The penultimate game of the day is here. A last opportunity for a lot of these teams to start to set the precedent as we head into the back end of the games, right? Because yes, today's games are starting to wrap up, Shayo, but still plenty more Fortnite to be played.
6 more games on day number 2, and in EU, we've seen the biggest changes there. You can be first place and then dwindle all the way into irrelevancy only on this region.
It's mad. Some of the things we're seeing from these teams, right? The one thing I will say is that, again, if Malibu and Thomas can start to get their way back into this one, how far can they rise in the standings, right? That will be the question. Queez and Vino's dominance, I think, was inevitable in today's games. The question is, are there going to be more hurdles thrown at them? They're already founding one in terms of being contested. Can they keep up with it?
Absolutely. Being contested, being in that position is huge for the lobby leaders. For the rest of the people who are kind of in the mid-game, kind of against these players, Putrick and Toos, where do they move overall, right? When they're going off spawn, how do they turn those games into points? Shimoki, Swizzy being contested by Podesai, Snazy. How did they switch up their entire games all across the line?
Yeah, and I think the big thing, right, is if you do find yourself lower down in the standings, there are still so many more opportunities. You have to keep a good mental. You have to start being observant, right, of areas and things you can do to capitalize come tomorrow. Because, again, it will be a whole different lobby in feeling. Same players, but it will feel very, very different. And you can use these last 2 games to start to figure out exactly how you can benefit from that. We're seeing the players glide on in here. Trulex and Cheeky over on the south side. Slappy tasting a mustache on the north side. But here at the racetrack, it's Putrick and Toos against Malibu and Thomas for the 5th time.
Featuring Bevies and Pablo Wingo. I'm going to add that feature now onto this track. Race or not. Thomas HD, Malibu are on a timer. Seems like Putrick and Toos always get the slurp truck and have so much shield to work with. This would have basically been almost an elimination onto Putrick, but as Malibuca's shooting, Toos knocks him down. Thomas HD forced into the same jump. I'm looking at my memories. I see deja vu, and no one's winning here at all. Because from the backside comes Bevies. Thomas HD finds one. Is able to get the finish. This could be huge. Toos in front of him, and he gets that siphon of materials into the trash can. 13 HP. And actually blocks Toos getting out. Thomas, the adaptability, forcing Bevies to shoot Toos. And they'll have a few more shields and mats to work with. I think that, yeah, Thomas will finally go down to Pablo Ringu. And these guys are the winners at the end of the day.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, right? Because they just can't do anything about it. Pablo and Bevies are just going to roll on through. They hunt him down. And again, you know, some people won't be happy, but this is exactly what they needed to do. Pablo Ingo and Berries, they needed to look for somewhere vulnerable around them. They found the most vulnerable fight. And that Osborne battle between those two teams you've been watching all day, I don't know how you count it now, right? Because again, it was 3-1 to Tus and Putrick. That game, both teams get taken out, right? So it's still 3-1.
It's 1-0 actually for me. It's one team qualified to globals and one not.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what we're looking at here at the end of the day.
Definitely. And I think that's part of why Malibuka and Thomas will stay and continue to fight. They want to condition Racetrack. If Racetrack's going to be in the game, you never know what's going to be in the game by the time Global come. We could have a whole different map. You never, know at all, right? But assuming Racetrack's still in the game, they want to be the team that lands it. They don't want anybody on any region to contest them, and so they'll continue to fight for it, you've got to think.
Tus and Putrick, they know exactly how to land it at least. They have won a majority of the time, so if they even get remotely unleashed, remember, it's just top 5 in any of these, or at least in Major 2. I think there's a few more spots available than in Major 3 and a last chance squall. If this team slides through, that's trouble in paradise for Thomas HD and Malibuka. Meanwhile, for a bunch of these other teams, you got to be looking at now, what are we really aiming for here at the end of day 1? Where do we want to be points-wise coming into day 2? Are we striving for an FNCS championship here? Is that what this franchise is all about? Or do we want to hit top 5 and make it a globals?
Well, for Janice and Reason, I think either would be ideal for them, right? We obviously saw how their story ended when it came to FNCS last season. Finished day 1 in first, dropped off to around 5th place. Was it 4th? I can't actually remember exactly what was it.
Might have been 8th overall. I don't even know.
It was one of the two. It was around 5th or 4th. It was one of those two.
I don't know nothing.
This time round, though, they have the potential to finish there, but not if they get snuck up on like this. Cosmo didn't quite hit enough from behind, but Janice is still alive, but not working with much HP. And now they're going to jump in. Reason is here, though, and the Chug Smashes come out to help him. That's almost really, really bad for the Germans.
Did they hear like 4 splashes? Like, all right.
We'll back up.
I don't want your life story and all that. I'm out of there.
Smart disengage, wise dodge, I'd say.
I hope that actually just... Okay, another chance for Ferdoxy, actually. Hold that thought. I'm sneaking in. And unfortunately, Fashoki can't catch the rope. I think Hydra might have just used it to get all the way sky high.
Oh, man.
Not like this.
Not like this. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Only one person can kind of go all the way up top on that rope at a time. Everyone kind of using everything in terms of what they have at their disposal. This game's theme is sneaky tactics, I guess. Crouching, waiting, going for a shot as everyone's kind of in the rhythm of their drop spot. Jurgen for Dox will be able to just play their game. Zone moving fast and away from at least the bottom half of Kenjutsu. Maybe towards the top left side of the map right now. Vino and Queasy separated to try to get as much loot as possible and get ready for their games. Almost around 40 points ahead of the competition. For them, I mean, I asked the question at the beginning, what does everyone want to do at the end of the game? 1, Queasy and Vino want to just be on an island of their own, separated from the rest of the lobby. High points. Get as many points per game as possible.
Look at this fight we have here. Vanek and Kami, they were lobby leaders at one point today. They lost that spot after going down last game, and they'll try and regain it, but it is such a messy situation here at Steamy Springs. You can see they're starting to rotate out of the way, but they're going to start running into Jalen and Twy. Kefi and Pachawa there as well, still up and alive. That's interesting to see, right? Jalen and Twy, Kefi and Pachawa, both still alive. Both those teams are contesting each other, fighting off spawn throughout the day. But with both those teams staying up, Boaz is in the mix. Like, there's so many different teams in the Steamy Springs area that are just making it such a tight spot to move around.
We get bottlenecked almost if you don't get out fast. It's very tough, and we've seen the effects of that. The unfortunate story of Perchawa, 7CS, in the storm. Fortunate so far for Tayson and Mustache. They've had a game under their belts. Every win so far has also just looked really easy for the team that's in control at the end of the day. Cool pattern to notice. Zara's Angie also not too bad overall on day 1. 13th place and very close in points to the people around them, one good game could boost them into the top 10.
Definitely can. And I think what we've seen from them throughout the qualifying weeks is that they have that big game potential. I was actually quite impressed with a lot of what I saw from that team. And so I'm hoping that even if it isn't today, we eventually get to start to see some of their best play come out tomorrow.
They're exactly where they need to be. I feel like if you're top 15 at the end of day one, you have a chance at being top 5 at the end of the day 2.
Definitely. Even lower down than that, we've seen
really
comebacks.
Yeah, that's true.
We've seen some great comebacks, and with the point format being how it is, 4 points per an elimination is massive. You have one big pop-off game, you know, we see an up arrow and 40 next to it, right? We've already seen that today, so we know it's possible.
The top 5, very different in this FNCS. Gives you a spot at Global. The Global Championship is happening towards the end of the year. You're not just competing against the people in your region, but across all 6 that are active and playing right now. Jason and Mersash, they will be there.
They will be there. They've already picked up 1 FNCS win so far this year, and potentially a second on the horizon. They sit in 3rd place in the standings, and that's a nice spot to be in as you head into the second day. Of course, they need to do well here and in the next game to maintain that. But considering that they themselves necessarily weren't too confident about their chances, with how well they're doing, I think it goes to show that this is a team that, come global time, are definitely going to be big contenders to win the whole thing.
And these guys on site, in person, look so good, and I would say an up-and-comer that can translate kind of their beginnings into absolutely dope success at the end of the day on EU. Della and Pixie came out absolutely swinging in Major 1. I believe top 5, top 6 finish. Took home a lot, and today looked really good in terms of starting games, starting end games with good protocols, good spots. Unfortunately, they're fighting Queasy Vino, which is what happened in the last FNCS as well. They have to overcome the hardest boss in EU. Asa and Slove come up against many different EU duos in their games. Feels like they're just taking whichever scrappy fight they can where they at least have some sense of control.
If you told me these guys were playing drop shot roulette, I'd believe you. They're everywhere. They're everywhere all the time. I feel like they're everywhere. Generally towards this northwest side of the map, though.
The thing is that it feels like they know exactly what they're doing in all these new spots over and over again.
Well, they know what they want to do.
Yeah.
And that's fight. And they feel very confident in fight. You see Acid trying to take angles. They want to track Pincer Podesai in here. That's exactly what they'll do. They just keep claiming space. Keep trying to force him down the wrong corner.
Oh, hold up.
Demi and Misha are very close by, and they might not know that. They have to be careful. They might get snuck up on completely. Teeny just patiently waiting for the shot, and they don't have a clue.
Breaking a few walls left and right. Absolutely silent. Teeny's done this once before. They can edit it down. Ooh, oh no. Gotta make sure your cones stay cones, and because of that, Teeny and Misha found out, and it looks like they don't really have the speed or confidence to really want to take this full fight. They were just looking for that damage, and then they just wanted to get out. But Teeny's gonna lock into this one. May as well. You gotta get your surge somewhere.
Yeah, this is gonna be a huge fight for them, and it's one that they probably will need to take now. Switching hands, right? We go from getting snuck up on to trying to sneak up on people. And yeah, Teeny and Misha getting out of the way, not without taking a bit of damage. And I'm sure Asa would have wished he could have got a bit more out of that. The shots definitely were lined up there, but only getting 34 damage out of it.
Yeah, I like how you just let him run for that extra 2 seconds. Could have beamed it a little bit. Giving some schmecky between them with them a little while ago. They were looking good in terms of getting in the zone, but bad on Surge overall. So the South Zone pulls still giving them big tests to overcome. Lots of teams ahead. I'm surprised we're not watching like that pitfall game in Game 5. A lot of the times people just start to really key and switch things up before having a stoic last game. Everyone here is just still locked in EU.
Yeah. We're very, very used to seeing these game 5s be a bit messy in their nature.
Cammy and Seti as well. Up inside of base, Frenzy look good, but why are they set up for success in this game? Mini has the answers.
Lots of reasons indeed. Cammy and Seti doing the little thing to find success and hopefully set up for success for the rest of the game. Actually, Seti here using the dumpster diving augment to hop inside of one of the haystacks nearby. This actually gets him maximum ammo to use later on down the line, so hopefully now they can use that for those Storm Surge tags. And they've actually secured themselves a combat cache, getting them so much gold loot and, of course, those slurps as well. Hopefully they can use them to find success.
Oh, they say, one man's trash. Another man's medium ammo. I didn't expect it to get you that hard. That's crazy. Oh, man. But that's good. I mean, an insight to see exactly why they have so much ammunition, why they're looking so good towards the end of the game. And one pattern I've noticed, these mid-game analysts that come in, whoever they're doing the piece on, 50-50 success rate of them getting top 5 at the end of the game.
Interesting. So what you're saying here is Cammy and Seti win this one.
Possibly, 50% chance. Don't source that stat that I just said, by the way, too. It's just a feeling I have in my heart.
You are the king of fake stats. Like, you are actually the king of fake stats.
But they sound good, don't they? Like, you want to believe them.
We need a stat about your fake stats. That's what I want.
You won't find those. You won't find those.
What you will find over at Brutal Bastion is two teams going at it for an eternity here. I feel like there have just been no winners out of Brutal Bastion in terms of just like overarching success throughout the season. Even though it has the vault, you think it's very powerful, very strong, but all teams just desperately fighting for it, and it just ends up being nobody comes out on top.
No one has their stamp on it yet, which I feel, yeah, it's exactly why. It's like an emerging POI. It's kind of how things were in the old days when no one really had a claim on retail, so to speak, at the start of every season. Even though it's established, you know how to play it. So many teams would scrap for it over and over again, stay inside the zone. Same thing with the Shark. This season is Brutal Bastion. This is completely anecdotal too, but a lot of the time I feel like this spot itself becomes the hot spot in a lot of these games.
Well, yeah, 100%. So many of the teams in the area know if we need loot, go Brutal Bastion.
Yeah.
If we need Surge, there's gonna be people Brutal Bastion. Like, everybody knows, like, you could just go Brutal Bastion and there'll be something there. If you're looking for something, something will be there, whatever it is.
That makes it that much more sludgy, viscous, and difficult to actually navigate and get out of. You get trapped in there like quicksand, even though you're running on snow. Jumping into the zone. Must have a cash source or something. Last maybe is just for maps, and then they get back in.
Yeah, and these guys haven't had many opportunities to play out a game like this, right? So I want to see them make the most of it. Because again, this is a team with no Grand Finals experience. Jalen and Twy making their first Grand Finals, and I think they've got a lot of people rooting for them.
I'll do a toast for Pringles for those. Well then, here we go. Here, put them in the middle. Why do you put them on your table?
It's your first Grand. I don't think anybody ever expects people to do well in their
Can you
first Grand.
just sit and have everyone just like hanging about?
Ian!
Alright?
The the next 6 games after this one.
At least we're on the same page with all the decisions. That's doing well, step 1 in a lot of books. You know, Queen, I love this position. A lot of the times when you're defending from really high vertical fire, you expose yourself to low ground angles and mid ground angles. So anytime the island shoots first, Queen Vito might have a chance to land free shots on people, getting those down. Anchored in the zone, I feel like I've had trouble, just like many of these outside landing teams, of getting in. No stranger to fights above, but in terms of overall positioning, I mean, these guys are just chasing more and more and more in terms of just trying to get some fights down, rather than position inside the zone.
Yeah, they've had this fair share of surge problems throughout the day, and I think that's pretty why they really want to deal with fire, bro. Maybe at this point it's got a bit personal, right? We've seen that happen many a time. Lucia and Steno, they have their own surge issues to deal with. Yeah, it's above, right? And you want to be above the threshold, but it's not now they are a bit below, having to use some of their shields.
Shooting in at the end of the day, you don't know what Storm Surge is. Every time we say surge, threshold, you don't know what we're talking about. It's as important as the mini-map. It's the number right above it on the right side of your screen. It's why people fight. It's why Chulex is getting pushed right now by Luchi. Instead of you want your number to be above. Any number and then above, just like it's switched there for Luche. 128 above the threshold. If you're there, you don't take damage periodically. It's great. If you're not below the threshold, lightning strikes you down. You take 25 damage, 25 damage. It's not good. And because of this, you'll see Luche go into these boxes, getting the damage down. Put a shot on the chicken.
Yeah, it was tough, right? Because that chicken was actually just opening up to be able to kinetic blade out and rotate.
Yeah.
And then boom, somebody just drops right in front of his face and stops that one from happening. I saw a moment ago Taysom going down in the feed. We're seeing now what's going on here. With Stash having to pick up the pieces.
He's trying for it. And there's so many other duos who are in the business. Quick stat too. Yeah, in terms of mid-game segments, no one's winning. But the claim ones are doing well. Like, they're doing well, you know? Like, 9% zone. But they got some placement under their belts.
Shire quoting 8K.
No. I think they got 640 ADP. Like, it's not halfway, you know? I'm not saying wins. I'm saying they're getting to eat, you know? Like a two-piece combo. They're chilling. I'm never reading a quick stat again.
Imagine the quick stat got beef with Shire, man. They got serious beef with Shire. Vanya can come finally in a position akin to what we saw from them earlier in the day, right? Where they are a bit more comfortable on surge, more central in their positioning, and you can see now they will have access to that 7th zone relatively easily here towards the dead side of the zone. And that means that another chance to play their game. I think you look at Vanyak and Kami over the past year. We see every FNCS final. We see those big pop-off moments, but it's never quite been, you know, the magical performance at the end of it. And now finally a weekend where it looks like it could be possible for them.
They need to fix this one issue they have, which is creating a track in front of them to follow when things look like this. Frenzied fields, flat grounds, no duels in front of you. It's kind of like, you know, a lot of the times completely sidetracking here. When you're racing and there's no one in front of you, it's tough to upkeep your speed to know exactly how fast to run. Vanyak Karmi, it's tough for them when there isn't a mountain to climb, when there isn't someone right beside them to shadow. I feel like they need to be able to just hold their ground and create space for themselves to use.
Yeah, that definitely exists right now when you're on the dead side of the zone. Nobody here has seen City and Kami have just been able to run in. Right, look how many materials they've been able to save just from running in on that side. To give them an issue.
I'm trying to work my way up to an
Ooh, Mustache. Get high.
But he will find you. Doesn't matter. That's his first in the game. 250 above it. He doesn't have a clear path to zone. He can use all these pills for cover. And will just sort of get his way on in now.
We're trying to trade, yes.
And things aren't looking too bad for Mustache, even as a solo.
So I'm looking to trade up.
Having that kinetic blade, you can really end up pushing forward on these wins. Seeing the slow placement of these reverse ramps, though, has Kami and Vanyak on edge as to maybe there might just be a solo in this box. Kami and Vanyak now have one person actually have in front of them on that track to be able to just keep bullying and have building for them before they move. And Mercedes at least has the cover of a duel beside him at all times, so he's not singled out completely. Actually, a pretty successful game so far. 3 Elims finding themselves at this position. Matt's almost chopped in half, but looking good too. Unfortunately, they have to move across the entire world to continue playing this game. This fight has to be fast. They have to look forward to see exactly where to go next. And it's straight into the box. Zora wants the elimination, and he gets what he wants.
Yeah, they know he was a solo because they had just taken out Ark. And so once they clean him up, they now start to think about how to get to zone. They can go towards the south side and kinetic blade over some of those teams that only have 2 charges, right, with that rare kinetic blade. But again, the rotation is definitely there to be made. Reno and Queasy, I'm going to see some more textbook gameplay from them, splitting their materials now as they start to look into what the rest of this game holds. And the materials they have at this stage, oh my goodness, mythic shotgun in hand, purple kinetic blade, max materials, above on surge, and they're going to add to that tally here with the way they're spraying at this team. This is just unfair. This is near perfect Fortnite we're seeing from this team so far today.
Perfect dive in too. Not a second of hesitation. Vino grabs it, and that's a solo jerky. His team alive somewhere as he was looking shambles. I mean,
Ach, das war ekelhaft. Das war dreckig. Das hat alles nicht sein.
Looks like once again, Queasy Vino are here to take
Das war ekelhaft.
But if anyone's going to ride with them, these guys definitely can, because they have a brilliant setup themselves. We saw how good their materials were, how good they still are, and their loot situation is looking nice. Their surge situation is even nicer. They have that setup Miniman was talking about, and we know they can execute on that.
This is all about have they expanded their strap book. Will they be playing for height? Will they be able to take it? They have the kinetic blades. And this is the way to win games and translate all this power into points this season. It'll take Queasy and Vino to do that. We'll know that they'll be waiting. Take height from over, tries to go for it. They're really good at just having those types of heists and retakes in the sky. PKR and Link look to be the ones who are the most elevated, but will they hold on to this position?
First move in zone. Pulse rifle players often do start looking up to see if there is anybody that is challenging for height. If not, a lot of times they want to go for it themselves. These guys may not be fruitful in terms of materials, but they're to change their fortunes.
I mean, Vanyak make their box. Aggressive duo that ends up getting what they want.
Blades there just scouting about, looking all over as he's in the air to make sure he has a clear path to land on.
No one yet having a final on height. Everyone just still moving, making sure the mats have the most use.
And now looking in the back of the zone, Queasy and Vino being topped out. But it will be able to hold on right now, just dropping down onto mid-gun lane. They're comfortable here. And even if they can't play for height again, they'll just keep on looking up, seeing if they can be the ones to drop out.
They'll have a 1 second pocket here in just a moment as two different squads are fighting for height. 500 damage above. Their only goal is just to try to win this game. And there it is. As Asa tries to build, Vino goes for it, but chooses to just let it linger for a bit longer. They had a chance. They won't try to bite fully. Just have a little bit of a taste. Fully gets another. Inside the feet. Beam from height, so it's dangerous to even try to go for the sky.
Some free materials there, but they didn't pick up the brick though, and so that might cost him down the line as he starts to run out of mats. And then, like you said, the chop does come through. Vino and Queasy, they want to hold on to it. They are going to land on Slow Bay gets picked up, picked off. Queasy does the damage. Vino finishes it off.
And that's a mat refresh for Vino. That's more time available on height. That's dominance from a team that's won almost 2 games today. It's huge for Queasy and Vino. Trying to go for their third. Kemi Seti on low ground. Yeah, they had for success, but it's just so hard to be consistent on this type of layer.
Those guys were fighting for height. These guys were fighting for positions down low, and so many mats being expended as a result of it. Another instance of a team trying to take the high ground from them, Shio.
Vino's not going to stop. Him and Queasy have set up shop here on height. Looking to buy all real estate inside the sky.
Der ist cool, das machst
Pulse rifles. They have the red
du.
Going for a few. On the left side, a solo trying to get as many points as possible here in game number 5.
And he's doing a good job staying alive, pushing out duos in this stage, but he needs to stay alive a bit more longer. We're heading into that top movement, and so there will be opportunities. They're finding some for themselves.
Here's where they start to actually get into hot action. 2 eliminations, but they need to finish with at least 5 to make this position. All this power lifted. No points yet. Shot placement. They need those elims. Bevy's Pablo Wingu getting ready to be spinning.
Ach so, die Sachen. Nee.
Haven't found much, so dip in the zone, and then playing sky high. Look at Queasy and Vino. They're playing a different game.
And Vino is dropping down. How many times have you seen that today? How many times has it led to a victory royale? These guys are prepared, pistol in hand, taking players down, and running on bare bows, just left with wood. Some players without anything at all. Seti and Kami now popping their slurps, popping their heels, trying to stay alive, trying to pick off someone from the deep in zone.
That'd be probably all. Seti Kami in the business. Queasy and Vino on height. Looking at 3 different duels here, and Pablo Wingu's on the wall up against Seti. Getting just bullied by Vino from the top row. Pablo Wingu down to no shield, just 1 more shot to take. Bevy's on the other side, he gets dropped down. It's Vino up against 2. Another one blocked him against Seti. He's taking out all of EU, but he gets taken down. Doesn't matter. It's Deja EU again and again and again. Queasy and Vino win games.
3 victory royales in these games on day 1. Have we ever seen a team be the clear and obvious favorite in a region so powerful like EU and then come out and just completely stomp through it?
in just 5 games. It feels like they just ran the whole 6 and had 3 wins. They still have 1 more to go. This is such a strong team. No one's really stopping them. Fino's playing 1v4 and making it look easy. This is the first time I've seen Queasy move a finger.
Literally, the only time today where Queasy's actually had to do something and thank goodness he did, right? Vino did just jump. He was down to a lick of HP, so it wasn't the hardest of fights for Queasy to win. But nevertheless, right, they did win that fight and they win the game. These guys are just unstoppable right now.
No one's really on their level. A few duels at that time tried. That was 3 different high retakes, and they don't even look like they were scathed at all.
The scary thing is, it's not like it's just completely easy for them. They've been challenged at full. They've had hurdles thrown in the way in their mid-game. They've had people try and take their high ground, and yet they still win these games. What can you put in front of them to stop them?
I have no clue. It's a duel with no weakness and superpowers. What do we do?
I don't know what we do at this point. This is unprecedented. They are stopping the lobby, and may I say, a stack lobby, the best teams in the region in grand finals here. 3 victory royales. Taco, I mean, a team that they cannot be stopped.
The office as far as PZ and Veno are concerned, and they honestly do just make it look easy. We're talking about 50 of the best duos in EU, but this team is just clearly making sure that skill gap stays established.
You can see even earlier on here, Vino Queasy know to capitalize on every situation. Like Levin said, getting contested various times on the high ground to ultimately claiming it. They were so high up, it looked like they were playing their own LTM in the sky, just dominating the rest of the lobby, and then they get another one, and another one, and another one. 3 victory royales for the duo. I mean, they're looking unstoppable.
They really are. I mean, they claim the high ground. It looks like so effortlessly as well. Obviously, this being like grand finals, every team more than capable of doing exactly that. But what is it that separates them from the rest? What are they doing differently, which is always giving them that advantage?
Again, it's just the priority refreshes. I think that Veno is doing such an excellent job whenever he does drop to those lower layers and making sure that he picks up the refreshes, he picks up the mats that he needs to. You're not seeing him miss a single mechanic. Every single move that he makes is strategic, it is tactical, it's intended, and that's something that I think a duo of this caliber has really set a different kind of standard here today in Day 1 for Europe. And we've seen Veno in the past. He's made his name Veno Day 2.
Yeah, I mean, they're not making mistakes. We can look at the standings here and show just how dominant they actually are. 365 points. Second place has 248. That's more than 100 points, Adam.
They don't want Day 2.
That is absolutely extraordinary. I mean, considering we've played 5 games out of 6 on day number 1, there's another entire day to go. You make that much of a gap. That is a statement tackle. You're making a statement to say we are the ones to beat in this region right now. And eliminations, I mean, placement points as well. They already surpassed 255. That is extraordinary.
But the other thing that they've done, aside from establish a massive lead for themselves, is it's become a mental game now for these other duos involved. Vanya and Carmi, you see them sitting in that second place position, but again, 248 points in comparison to 365. That is such a steep hill to climb, and you have to remember, it's not like Vanyak and Carmi have been slouching throughout any of these lobbies so far.
Look, Vanyak and Carmi are starting the sprint that Queasy and Reno have already, finished the marathon, basically. But look, they have a lot of points now, but remember, we've seen 5 matches. We've got 1 more match until the day concludes. There's going to be another 6 matches tomorrow, and anything can still happen. But looking up here, if we, pick out Queasy Vino, second place 248, third place 246, Seti Kami 242, Taste and Merstash 235. It's pretty neck to neck.
Yeah, I mean, look at this as well. Consider this: global championships at the end of the year as well. Okay, we're looking at top 5 spots going through to that. So there's lots of places up for grabs here. So even the top 5 in general, you want to break into that just to qualify for later on this year, which, as you can see right now, is really competitive. Between obviously the 365 that Queasy and Vino have, but even down to Stash and Tasting at 235. That is still one of these things that is achievable for our players. Already you can see Zara and Zangi here bumping 8 spots in that last game. I mean, you want to break into that top 5.
Well, the thing is, though, with Merstash and Tayson having already been qualified for global championships, even if they finish in the top 5, that could be a saving grace ultimately for teams that might find themselves in that 6th place position. Granted, that's assuming that this leaderboard doesn't have too many alterations heading into day 2, or the conclusion of day 2, I should say. But with the way that things are panning out, when there's already a 40-point disparity being controlled essentially by 5 very consistent teams.
Right. I want to bring up Kami and Seti, though. Yeah. Currently in the 4th place spot in qualifying range for the Global Championship. Are FNCS Invitational champions are not yet qualified for the Global Championship, and they're in qualifying range right now. So although it doesn't look like they're going to take first place today, there's still another day and another opportunity to make it to that Global Championship.
Yeah, and certainly for the likes of Queasy and Vito, they won't forget Cammy and Seti, obviously Invitational. We all know what happened in Game 12 there. I mean, this is, the top 5 right now. It is kind of wide open, which that's why it makes Day 2 so exciting, because we've seen before as well, Taco, that sometimes duos have a great Day 1, but they can fall at that final hurdle in Day 2, and it really changes things up.
But I think that's where the conversation kind of shifts more towards duos and how much experience they really have. And for a duo as seasoned as Seti and Cammy, I wouldn't imagine that to pose too much of a threat. It's ultimately just going to come down to what alterations they need to make from Day 1.
Right. I mean, they're not contested right now in the top 5. We know how Cammy and Seti play out. They speak consistency. So, I mean, I'm rooting for them, and I know that they can do it.
Yeah, can we consider this as well for a second here? This is the last game of the day here. Obviously, Day 2 coming our way tomorrow. Last game before the end of the day, before players get back together again, reconvene, talk about strats. What is the final play going into this one? We obviously know Queasy and Vino are probably going to do work wonders out there. But what are the rest of our teams here in the rest of the leaderboard, top 10, top 20 even? What are they thinking right now, Taco?
Again, it's a mental game at this point. Just don't let that lead that Queasy and Vino have established alter your game. Play what you know best, and that's how you close the gap.
Okay, all right. Well, it's all coming our way here. It's all about to happen. We're getting very excited about this. We can hear you guys, the fans at home, screaming. The llama's up, making llama noises, and the bus is beeping. It's time for game number 6, Day 1 EU Grand Finals. Let's jump right in.
Game 6 of Day 1 of Major 2 in Europe. And there are clear owners of the regions. 3 out of 5 games for Queasy and Vino. One word, dominance.
Absolute dominance. It has been unreal, the levels we've seen from these guys today. The fact that even in games where everything looks like it shouldn't work for them, it still works for them. It just goes to show just how dominant of a team these guys are.
Absolutely. Higher point bracket, higher tax bracket when it comes to just the winnings they'll have by the end of Day 2. If it looks like Day 1, these guys look good.
It's ridiculous. And to me, I think the thing that's scary for everybody else in the lobby is what's going to stop them? What changes in Day 2 that is really going to affect where they are and allow somebody to catch up?
I mean, they've had people off spawn. They've had people contest them on height multiple times. They're undefeatable.
It's really a problem. But look, it's not just first place that we're looking at, right? The top 5 is going to be huge for an opportunity to go to global championship, and there's still a lot of teams in contention for that top 5.
There's also 6 more games for people to hit that top 5, and there's one more game today to see how their destinies change in Major 2 of Europe. One final game. Can these absolute tyrants be usurped at the top of the board? Can anyone find a falterance, a hindrance, anything in their game plan? I mean, they've got 25 minutes to do so.
I think everybody who was coming into this finals expected Queasy and Vino to do good. I'm not sure if people thought they'd do this. Absolutely unreal. And that change of spawn here, Tucson Putrick versus Malabuka and Thomas has gone a bit differently. Both teams still landing here, but both landing on different sides of the racetrack. This is rare, Shire.
It's like Thomas and Mustache, or Thomas and Malabuka. So close.
It's fine.
6th game, man. 6th game. It looks like these guys might just want to have a little bit more of a pedestal when it comes to the end of the day, or are looking to experiment with how to actually contest someone absolutely 50-50 off spawn. Difference in Game 6 is Janice and Reasonfall. Haven't really seen that too much today.
That's been tough, right? These guys have been consistent. They came into this game in 7th place. And to go down off spawn, they might get pushed out of the top 10 if they're not careful. And that would be really tough for them as we move on through, right? Not many points separating them. Right, they're tied on points with the 6th place team. And just around less than 20 points between them and the teams below them. So these guys, very good chance to get pushed out.
Kuro and Weed against iDrop Mappy. If you guys tuned in like Game 2, they're having a fight that was so poised, so structured and patient all around. This time, it's fast from Kuro and Weed. He's not giving him the wraparound. He's the one who does the damage. Kuro knocks on the door and busts it down.
Finally, in the last game, doing something to shake things up. And like you said, one of the quickest anvil fights you'll see all tournament long. Over here at the Mega City, there's fights taking place as well in places we haven't expected.
And this is very important for Gripey and Flixie. We're talking about them kind of up and newcomer overall in a situation in EU to make a nice name for themselves as a duo now. I mean, they've been in the business for a while. They're top 10 as of game number 5, and this is a very important fight for them to win.
See, if Puchik and Toos, they've just gotten out of the way of the racetrack completely. No, they don't want anything to do with that Osborne fight anymore. But they are still going to be taking a fight over towards a team they've had to deal with the past 2 games. Pablo Wingu and Bebies, with Skydoon watching in the distance.
These guys are just an absolute maelstrom of a duo. Get into boxes and make it look like a tornado passed by, both in damage and in messiness of the builds. They're really good at just forcing you out of your own box and expanding your defensive structure. Absolutely balling Tooth inside the cone, and again, twice from Bebies. The disrespect, the third shot on the Puchik, he's making it look easy. These guys have nothing, almost a collateral in terms of pump damage. They're on collectively 11 HP, and he's still chasing him. Build after build after build. You cannot stop Bebies.
The only key he has on his keyboard is W. He just walked straight at them, ran straight at them with shotgun in hand and hit every single shot he needed to.
That's not an Unreal player that got coned twice. That's Toos. That's the Toos. You don't do that to Toos.
Apparently Bebies does.
That's wild. And that's a game where it looks like they might have had some space, a little bit of a breath to be able to play and see what they can do. A difference off spawn, not going to be capitalized in this one. Vino, in that first game, he got challenged, he chased, he conquered. And this one, shot a little bit, jumped backwards, kinetic bladed away, wanting to play this game safe. Malabuka Thomas HD, same thing. Besides Steno and Lucian, are trying to get whatever they can in terms of materials to stay alive. The builds, the blades, they'll come soon. Gonna rotate off. Although there's so much action inside this game, the same amount of players are still left alive, so it just seems as though a lot of the fights we expected to go for minutes on minutes on minutes to be a bit more patient are being a lot more decided fast now. The replay on one of these, Jay and Cosmo. Trouble with synergy sometimes. A nice bait and switch from Jay, and a big denial on the other side. This is Artor, a man who can really delay a fight, but Jay's done with that type of game now. He's looking good. Taste and Mustache. Slappy Shores. Looked good throughout the whole day. I think there was one game where they might have had issues moving off spawn. But seeing them inside these later games in day 2, kind of hindered, it looks like no one's really stopping them in their own game plan.
Yeah, I think these guys, again, they know how they have to play. They know what they need to do well. But it goes back to what Tayson said, right? At the start of the day, he said, I'm not feeling it because I know Queasy and Vino are very, very good this season. And it's funny because he also said, look, for us to even have a chance, we'd have to play out of our minds. Yeah. And even if they do that, I still don't know if they can catch up with these guys, right? Because Queasy and Vino are just so dominant right now.
It looks like in these games, like, yeah, even if Tayson and Mustache have like 10 eliminations, high ground, Vino and Queasy, no clipping in the sky. Like, they just got to be there.
Just free.
And then come down. 12th zone. Floki Clement allowed to play in an FNCS without having too many off-spawn issues. They're going to look to keep fighting. Rough day 1 overall. And maybe their spawn situation isn't as flowery and green as I'm having it out to be. I think they were expected to fight Snazy Podeside. That might have changed overall, at least on rotation. They're going to come back on day 2, and we've seen them have stellar day 2 performances themselves. Game 6 is a nice game, though, to fix any of those mistakes, fix some issues overall. We'll see if it's possible for them to keep rocking. And Della and Pixie, 5th overall FNCS 1 by surprise for a lot of the community, and in this one, 13th-ish, or looking good to just be inside the overall tournament of day number 1 in a good spot to have points to bounce back on day 2. They want to have a repeat. They want to be in that top 5. Top 5 is globals, of course. Shamoki and Swizzy, who are on your screens right now, not having the best of days. It was Photoscience Nazy, an unsuspected duo that landed on him, unfortunately. and then any chance of their plans going to exactly how they wanted to. Barnack and Kami, different situation. They're right beside Blacha on the leaderboards with his dual partner. I mean, that's a big surprise to see them up in the business. Him and Mixon. I would say the biggest surprise of the day so far. Third place overall, 2 points behind Barnack and Karmi. And they held on. That's the cool thing. A lot of times, Levin, when it comes to the top 5, top 6, they come in the back 3 games. They have a little bit of a mishmash in their introduction. And then after that, they learn how to play. Mixon, after that first game, in the lead, I believe. I was Jordy in the lead. After game 2, in the lead, and now by game 6, still in the top 3. That's huge for the team.
And I think the big thing for Blaha and Mixon is that whenever I've watched them this season, they clearly are very solid, right? They understand how to play Fortnite very simply, and I think they understand basic principles of the game and they run with that, and it's leading to success here. Sometimes, right, on the biggest stage like this one, people forget some of the basics at times, right? That's how you get caught out. These guys, though, very much strong in that department. Easy and Vino fighting for a cash. No surprises here, and it's a cash that's actually clearing Genjutsu. Not often you see that. It's against Irazumi and Sined, and they're just going to back off. They don't want to fight. They don't want the smoke.
They have a game plan of just waiting for that Rift Island, getting their pulse rifles, and then playing the game. We'll see if that's a possibility for them once again, and that's exactly what they're going to be going for with the disengage. Cash to Vino, huge. Glory be to the duo that runs the EU, it looks like, at least in this meta.
Yeah, the good thing about getting the cash for them, right, is that the metal that they get saves them time in terms of farming. It means they can wrap to dead side and play that style that they like to play on edge sides of the map.
Asa and Slove as well. I think we focused on this duo a lot, no pun intended, throughout the entire day. And they've been really good at showing us what gritty fights look like for someone coming in and not having complete ownership over their spot or an identity overall inside the finals. They've made it pretty clear, though, that they're not going to be going down without a hard fight, and they've looked to capitalize on a lot of box dives and 2v2s in fast record time, being really good on Surge for the back half of their games. Japco Vortex, I feel like I've been in some of the best positions overall so far to get free loot from solos flying in the sky. Every time you see someone get beamed, Japco's there to pick up some of the mats. But past that, him and Vortex haven't found too much of an identity to just solidify points inside the late game in EU's day 1.
Yeah, and right now in the fight for this cash, they're pushing Flodax off. Hero as well, having to step back a little bit. Not completely being given free reign and free space, but they have the loot claims. And there's other teams in this one as well. It's actually Curb and Default that are here. And actually beyond just the players within this little scrap for that cash loot, there are plenty of players surrounding them as well.
It'll be a little bit of a standoff between all these teams. All of them just wanting some type of points to elevate them, push them across the line. Flodax, Hero, trying their hardest. 37th place right now, but if this fight goes well, if this game goes well, they can elevate themselves close to the top 20 even. Move up 10, move up 15 places. Once again, what's in stake for all the teams that aren't Queasy and Vino, that aren't really in first place? It's global championships at the end of the year. You need top 5 in EU. And in terms of having 6 more games to work with tomorrow, and this one, 7 in total, definite possibility for anyone that's on stage.
Yeah, and you want to be it, like the biggest and best competition in the world of Fortnite. If you don't make it, it can be heartbreaking, right? I've spoken to so many players over the course of the last year. A lot of players who didn't get the chance to go to international, feeling heartbroken about missing out on that opportunity, and so wanting to do everything in their power to make sure that global this year. For a team that's already been there, or for a team that I should say, sorry, is already qualified to go there in Malibuca and Thomas, less pressure on them in that regard, but less pressure might be good, because in a game like this, we already saw what happened last time they got to play out a game, get the Rift Island, and cook. And boy, did they cook up a meal. Double-digit elimination victory royale. And Shire looks like it's going to happen again.
Elim record for these guys on the game they were allowed to play. That is just huge. PKR is going to actually challenge them for these pulse rifles. And I understand why. It's the 6th game of the day. Not going to get a chance to have the best options for loots. They'll settle for just the vault that's down below.
How? I just don't get it. I don't know how these guys get the pulse rifles so soon. Like, I watch other games, I watch other regions, you know, even in lobbies in EU where they're not there, it's just a mess. Absolute carnage takes place. But when they're out there, it's like, oh, no, I don't want it. I don't want any problems with it. It just goes to show how strong, how powerful that duo is.
Look at this change in power. Misha Tini, I would say, in terms of the way they've been playing EU today, the little brother duo that doesn't really want to scrap that much, that might get picked on by a bunch of the teams around them. The first time I've seen a team 4 digits over Storm Surge, 1,000 damage. They've been putting in work.
6 eliminations before the 5th zone.
How?
That's unseen.
Something happened between game 5 and 6 in the call of Tini and Misha, and they are not stopping. Reboot interrupted, still pushing forward. No chance for anyone to stay alive. On the other side of things, Sky High not in the storm. Thomas HD denying anyone a chance to stop implementing pulse rifles. Alpha also having a really good time getting eliminations. Tini will elect with Misha to have a dip of the cash, tasting them to get their stash back into play.
Yeah, they are going to be ready and waiting for when Mustache is back in, and Mustache is instantly back down. Tayson will be able to build around him and get the revive off, and nobody immediately pushing, but they are coming. And shots being taken from another side as well, so he's not going to get the revive. It looks like Tayson's going to find himself in a world of hurt. He picks up one, and it's Tayson we're talking about here, so it's not over until he's 10. So Tayson now looking for the harbor. That's why he's the GOAT. That's why he's the MVP. Picks up the 1v2, and now picks up Mustache. What a player.
Medic, warrior, protector, clutch minister. What can Tayson not do?
Mind-blowing stuff. A team taking shots at you as you're trying to revive. Another team pushing you as you're getting in and trying to stay alive. And he just shrugs all of them off. No problems at all. Let's send it to Mini-Man to give us an update on the rest of their game.
Thank you, Lever. Now, of course, Queasy and Benno, they're in first place. They're running away with it. Let's take a look at the teams that are trying to chase down them in first place. Mixon playing a little bit more calmly, trying to get those Storm Surge tags just outside of Shattered Slabs. Now, we just saw them, Tayson and Mustache, almost get eliminated. How were they able to get those gold Havoc Pump shotguns? It was actually Mustache down below getting this cash that, of course, enabled him to get all of this loot, which then got Tayson the win in that fight.
Quickly following all those other teams, right, that are trying to play catch-up. And again, I don't want to speak too soon. I don't want to be that guy, but it might just be a case of, like, we're starting to get towards that point, Shai, where it's like, let's just focus on second place and below, right?
That top 5. Focus on globals.
Focus on globals. Focus on the top 5, because one team right now is running away with it.
That's so tough. A lot of these teams also that we like to focus on top 5, they need VRs, right? And you're basically faced against looking at Queasy and Vino in a different exosphere every game, or Thomas and Malabuka, who are allowed to play and then don't even let you fly. These teams that are so reliant on these last-minute game 7, 8, 9, 10 wins are not going to have that opportunity. They're going to have to get all their points in these situations, in these box fights.
What a situation this is. Lucio Steno charging into this box. That is just relentless aggression. And that's how you deal with your Storm Surge in a lobby like this.
Seems like defense is not an option for so many different teams. They're getting absolutely steamrolled. Mustache and Jason back. Mustache looks like he's never skipped a single minute in this game. Max mats. Materials look good. It's all because of Tayson and that pickup. We'll be able to convert those 2 eliminations to an absolute reboot of a game. They still have a ways to go to get to the next zone, though. Vortex Japco, we talked about how, yes, they're in some of the best positions to pick up Siphon loot in terms of actually getting that damage down, creating those opportunities. Always a little bit of a step behind. Carmen and Folk able to just go right away. Japko following them. They've seen the damage put down. Clement low up to Floki. The play protector. Mini able to be popped. I think that's a slip actually on the Clement. And wow, they clap back fast. An absolute turnaround of a fight.
Yeah, today, I don't know, it's French duos, when given the opportunity to put people in their place, they seem to be doing it. Floki Clement doing so now. And look to start to get towards the zone. Banyak and Kami. Slurp pops from Banyak to get his HP back up. But look at the material, Shire.
Hopefully that the slurp helps their mental, yeah, because with these mats and their position overall, the pressure on this duo, they're basically right behind Queasy and Vino. They're the de facto first place of Europe right now, because we know those guys are going to be at the top. They're in that mini throne. Everyone wants this duo to fall so they can kind of rise up. If they survive this game, if they turn this situation into bliss, that'll be huge for their overall two-day performance.
This is another good zone for them. 6, but let me not speak too soon. Let me not get ahead of myself. 4 out of 6 would be absolutely unheard of. Let's get a quick start on that one, right? Banyak and Kami, though, in their pursuit to keep their position high in the standings, they're not sitting in a bad spot. They have access to rotate down towards the south if needed. Thomas and Malabuka are going to have to start forcing their way through. What can Trulex do? There is absolutely no stopping that if you're Trulex. Literally might as well just turn around and give up.
Oh, that's why.
Oh, man.
That's why.
Oh, my. And even with them messing up the kinetic bait to get over,
yeah,
they still make it within plenty good time to just deal with them. And now they get to zone. Well, that's the goal at least. You need to be careful of those teams behind them, but they will build to ensure themselves some safety.
Soon as they're trying to rotate that side too, but this is them white lining. The entire zone is just so finicky overall. Double mountains to kind of traverse by a ravine down below. PUBG inside the box. Good day. And Thomas is off. 4 slurps. I don't think this man cares at all, but that rare kinetic blade not having it all the way up to epic, the purple variety, and that might cost them the entire game.
And look, I want to say them having to white line and not being able to pick the in the zone could come back to bite them, but look at the way they're buying right now, Shio. Any bad situation they get in, they are just going to shoot themselves out of it. Blatcher and Mixon having some struggles now. It's Mixon who goes down.
And this is Blatcher's game then. I mean, him beside Vanyak, who we saw was already low on mats, is these two duos who we have head-to-head coming towards the end of this day. They're holding on to both second and third place and are both left in horrible positions. Not even just on the boards. Look at this, caught between a ravine that he has to cross. And in that match to last the whole game, kinetic blades will come through. But if he chooses to use the blades to get across the ravine, he might not have the best spot to land at and secure in the next zone. Watches by himself. Meanwhile, Queasy, Vino, seems they have a shield bubble on them at all times. No pressure ever.
Once again, we see them here in the 8th zone, splitting materials, getting ready for when that 9th zone's pops and moving zones begin. And again, another game where they're just sitting in such good positions. Materials good, loot perfect, the zones have played in their favor all game long. Vino now has that mythic pistol in hand, and he will just tackle away at every single player rotating past him. It's so inevitable, it's so predictable, it's so readable. These guys just making things look so easy. Effortless Fortnite being played, an absolute masterclass. Fedoxy and Juruki up above on height. One of the first times we've got to watch them from this spot. But the question ultimately in this lobby has been, at what point will Queasy and Vino take it from them?
Just a matter of time. Still, for anyone in this lobby, this is torment. Juruki and Fedoxy who never stop shooting on heights. Thomas HD, Mustache, or Malabuka somewhere with pulse rifles, and then Vino with a mythic pistol behind you, waiting for you to try to use the kinetic blade. Meanwhile, Mustache, is up with Tayson, still in the business, and Thomas HD and Malabuka aren't stopping. You can't breathe if you're in a box anywhere near these duos, and they can rip the whole map.
It's ridiculous. Every single corner of the map with an elite duo ready to strike. And Vanyak will hope that they can put themselves in that conversation moving now.
And they have to. They need something. This is potentially risking their global spot. This might be the game decider. Over 2 days and Vanyak's down. Carmi needs to find something. This could be the clutch. Almost gets one. Fixie won't fall. He's also in the top 10. He needs to stay alive. Max match for Carmi. He's found something. This has to be a clutch.
They got split up for a second, and Tayson and Mustache capitalized. Carmi now has a solo clutch in his hands. Vino and Queasy still looking up, still looking for opportunities to chop, but they're also focused on finding their position in zone. Vino leading the way as he's done so well this season, and now they'll continue. Kami and Seti, they're still alive in this game, and we know they haven't been powerful enough, they haven't been strong enough. This is the game where they have to be more aggressive with the lift.
I'm just getting word that every single EU powerhouse is online and in their sector of the zone. Tayson Mustache playing it from the backside, looking for any stragglers. Jerky and Ferdoxy getting chopped by Podosai and Snazian. First level hits the ground. Mustache goes for the sky, but can't find much. Jerky is down. Ferdoxy left on his own to try to defend it. Not beamed in the sky. He's now just nice down.
Barely surviving that one. But now, Thomas and Malabuka, they're going to keep moving. Mirroring the hype team, gets to the front of the zone and going to look to box up. This duo still has so much power to unleash on the lobby, and if Clement isn't careful, he'll feel Thomas's wrath. Now looking to chop it out, and it's easy as can be with those pulse rifles in hand. But who is it on height they're gonna look to try and fight? Who is it that they're gonna look to cut out? It's the Frenchies, pulled aside, melted down. Snazy still trying to fend for himself about, but for how much longer can he withhold?
Thomas is the sun, and he's shining bright. Everyone else melts below. Going for the next shot, doesn't find much. It's chaos next to the reboot where no one can build. Tayson's head blocked off, and as a result, he goes down. All of them are stopped, but he's slapped in the face. Ping takes them out. Vino and Queasy are on height again.
Surprise, surprise, look who it is, and look who it is, clutching in the back of the zone. Hold aside, nothing to do with Thomas HD, taken down, and now Malabuka and Thomas, if they can get back together, can really give Queasy and Vino a run for their money. On low though, there are still Titans here they need to deal with. It's Kami and Seti in the back, it's Blackmore on their level. I even saw Mr. Savage and Vidil running around in this one. Everybody wants a piece of this final game.
Low ground's mythic up top, it looks unreal. There's no chance for anyone in the middle to survive this epic sandwich of two goated duos going back at it over and over again. Queasy low HP, so as much as we up to Vino, Mustache taking, or Malabuka taking a huge shot as Thomas HD is left in the driver's seat with all the heals. Kami drops down, and it's his turn to have a game.
He said they needed to be more aggressive in these moments, and maybe now the perfect time to show that they can be that duo. Thomas taking away in the zone, needs to make something happen. He's gonna fall eventually. Malabuka might get flushed out as well. It's Vino pushing, and it's Vino hitting shots. We see him drop down. We see him try and cause manic. We see him try and cause chaos, and that's what he's doing here. Queasy now following as well.
Full health, the duo side by side, 2v2, 4 games on day 1, the potential, but they have to face against Seti and Kami.
And it's the rematch between these two duos. We saw it already earlier today, and Queasy and Vino came out on top. Will Kami and Seti let it happen again? Keep it going. They keep moving in the zone, and Vino is an absolute monster. He takes down one. Can Queasy pick up the other? So low on HP, but he'll make it happen. Seti and Kami fall once again at the hands of Queasy and Vino. 4 victory royales out of 6 games in the grand finals of EU. This is a team that cannot be stopped.
60% of total games. These guys are just absolutely nuts. I have never seen the likes of this in EU. Vino and Queasy make it look easy, and they're absolutely feared by every single duo in front of them. Even when you think there's a chance they might lose, no shot, no way.
From the moment these two began playing with each other, everybody said it was unfair. How can the best fragger in the world and the best IG in the world come together? They couldn't quite pick up an FNCS. It's been almost a year now, but finally, it looks like they are well on their way to picking one up. This is absolute domination in its purest form. Perfect Fortnite we are watching today.
I want to apologize to anyone who wanted to tune in and watch the EU FNCS yesterday. It's the Queasy and Vino show, honestly.
It's mad, absolute madness. And I think there are no surprises about who's going to be in first place, but yet we will still send it back to the analysts to break down everything beneath that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering who's going to be at the top of the leaderboard at this point. I mean, 4 victory royales. I mean, I wonder. But let's just put this in context for a second here. Not only the first duo to get 3 victory royales in the FNCS Grand Finals day, now 4 victory royales in an FNCS Grand Finals day. This is absolutely incredible. And Queasy, the first player to reach 20 victory royales in the region as well. I mean, 21. This is a ridiculous Fortnite we're seeing right here, Takata.
I don't know what to say, right? Record-breaking territory for this duo. The most victory royales in an EU Grand Finals day. They look unstoppable.
It's the fact that they were able to establish this kind of record in a single day of finals. And not just in any sort of lobby, but a grand final set lobby where it almost looks like child's play with how controlling Vino and Queasy have been all day.
Yeah, we saw Cammy and Seti there. We were touching on them as well in this, you know, in the last kind of few games. But Queasy and Vino, when you got a duel like this in the lobby, what can you possibly do to Carter to counteract? This seems like they're almost invincible right now.
Look, it's scary, right? We see Vino go down. Queasy likes to play up above, get the secure route for the heal off, but Vino again and again and again and again. 4 VRs, Elim after Elim, dropping below. You can see 442 points, 4 victory royales, 28 Elims. I mean, they are just on another level. They really are.
It sounds obscene to even say that.
It's crazy. I'm putting it out there now, but if this continues into tomorrow as well, we're seeing the greatest performance in Grand Finals in the history of FNCS, right? I mean, I think that's what we're seeing right now. It's absolutely unreal. But let's see exactly how their victory affects the leaderboard now as well. Let's see the standings, how things currently lie. As we can see here, they're the first team to reach 400 points, 442 points with 28 eliminations, 330, placement points, 4 victory royales to cards. I mean, what is there more to say apart from just genius?
Look, literally, what more is there to say? But looking at second place, Cammy and Seti with 326 points. Remember, look, Queasy and Vino, the top 5 duos from this leaderboard after tomorrow will get that invitation to the Global Championship. But if there are some duos that have already qualified, like Thomas HD, Tayson, Malibuka, Merstash, then a few more duos will be able to get that spot. But Cammy and Seti have yet to get an invitational spot in the Global Championship. So seeing them in second place, it's something you like to see.
Yeah, we saw it when they were originally slinking into that top 10 at the start of the day. A little bit slower to get into their typical Cammy Seti form, you know, that of which we saw back at the FNCS Invitational. And regardless of how their season started out, at least here for day number 1, they're walking away in second place.
Yeah, and they're grinding their way to get there as well. It hasn't always been the prettiest Fortnite because they've managed to scramble for every point they can get, but still, they're putting themselves in contention, which is half the battle here, is getting into a position where you can at least challenge one of those global championship spots to Carter.
Yeah, they're doing a great job at it. Also, we saw in the late game there, Thomas HD and Malibuka, they were popping off. I mean, they've had a very rough early game off spawn, a bunch of trouble, but the games they do make it to late game, I mean, Thomas HD is a machine with that pulse rifle, unstoppable. This duo almost looks when they make it to the late game. So hopefully, if they can adapt a bit going into day 2, they can make something happen.
Look, he already had the individuals eliminations record for EU with that 9 spot earlier today. And for a moment, I thought he was actually going to try to top himself in this game and beat his own record. You know, why not just keep it going, since that seems to be the theme today in EU.
Yeah, you know you're a good player when you're trying to break your own records every game that you play. I think that's really impressive. We saw there on the leaderboard as well there, multiple teams managing to score a lot of eliminations, obviously we know is a big factor in this competition. But Thomas HD, I mean, what is it that he does so right here to Carter? Able to always put himself into contention like, for these record-breaking kind of elim pop-offs, because we're seeing 6, 7, it seems so consistent from him.
Look at his aim. He's like a robot, right? He does not miss his shots. I mean, when you put a pulse rifle in Thomas HD's hands, you put him in the late game, I mean, out of the sky, up above, down below, like anywhere, any opponent that's close to him, I just feel bad for them because of the time it takes for him to just 200-0 them. I mean, it's incredible. It really is.
If he'd had a little bit more match there towards the end as well, I think we could have been looking at a slightly different result here. But again, they're not the only team that's been managing to find a lot of success. Merstash and Tayson, doesn't matter how Tayson might have been feeling heading into day one, because he's clearly had an awesome performance.
Yeah, it really has. Yeah, I mean, we expected big things. We know their kind of track record. You know, these guys are way out in front a lot of the time here to Carter, but putting themselves again in a great spot here, managing to secure that kind of place in the leaderboard going to day 2, which is very promising for this too.
Yeah, duo chemistry for this team here. You can see they're always up together. They're playing as a team. The synergy is at an all-time high. It's why they have some of the lowest solo impact points, is because they're always up together. They don't get forced into those solo clutch situations as often as some other duos. So if they can keep that up, I mean, they already have that spot in the global championship, but it doesn't hurt to get another big FNC.
Yeah. There's a couple of things to highlight for you guys as well. You can see here, talking about placements and how every game matters. We can see again, Malibu Thomas HD rising up 14 positions after that last game because of that pop-up at the end. Put him in a great position here on this leaderboard, but also the likes of, we have here, Black and Mixon there, 31 eliminations. We've talked about, you know, Vino today and how he's able to get so many of them. But 31, like the leaders, it looks like, going into day number 2, that is seriously impressive from this too as well.
Yeah, I mean, eliminations are also key in these grand finals, being 4 points per elimination. So if you're able to rack up a good amount of elims, you know you're taking the right path.
They're going to need a lot of eliminations as well. It's not just Botcha and Mixon either. That's got to keep it in mind, because again, the build-up that's really taken place here as far as that lead from Queasy and Veno is concerned, day 2 is going to require a lot of eliminations and probably at least 1 or 2 victory royales if you want to keep pace.
Yeah, absolutely. And with Queasy and Vino out in front of the moment, tomorrow is really going to be exciting to see the grand, who goes to the Global Championships later this year. Maybe top 5 spots there. That's going to be really exciting to see how that story unfolds. Let's look at the broadcast schedule as well here for you guys watching at home, how it's all happened for you and unfolded across this last few weeks here. You can see week 1 through 3 happened. Surge Week happened last weekend. Here we are, grand finals. May 13th is officially done. We have had our 6 games today, but tomorrow 6 more games, making our 12 in total. And who will be the victor at the end of it? I mean, it's going to be a very meaty day number 2 here, Taco. Lots could happen. I mean, players need to go away tonight and really think about how they're going to start going into this last day, because they need to get themselves as many points as possible going to the final round.
It might be a lot of ground to cover, but at the same time, there are so many teams here that you could argue to be better in day 2 even, because they're kind of like the adrenaline warriors. They need that final push to really throw it all out there.
Yeah, they really do. Levin, Shio, fellas, we just take a moment here. Casting all the action. You are literally, as we all are around the world here, witnessing this moment on moment. But what do you think when you see a potential 4th victory royale for Queasy and Vino? I mean, what are the vibes for you guys?
I mean, take this in. Major 1, Queasy Vino, 4th place, 480 points. Day 1, 442 points. Like a major 2.
Disgusting.
That's all I gotta say. Like,
it's a business job. That's what they do. You know? I mean, nothing special. The job's not finished and all.
I love that. I love that.
Tomorrow, 4 more.
Yeah, playing it cool as usual. Let's hear from you. Obviously, we do have a second day coming our way. Will Queasy and Vino go all the way to win this thing? It's looking very promising right now. But of course, we have 6 games tomorrow on day 2 of grand finals. You do not want to miss it. Later on, you have Zeke and the rest of the squad bringing you all the action from NA. Their day 1, their first 6 games. Do not miss it. But for now, for us, we look forward to seeing you for the second day of grand finals. You're made to EU, FNCS. Do not miss it. We'll see you then. And on the Battle Bus. Beep, beep.